Welcome to Tales in the Dark. I know many of you enjoy relaxing with these videos, so I recommend turning down the volume until my voice is barely audible. It'll make the experience even more soothing. Before you close your eyes, let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you and enjoy listening. Story 1. The atmosphere carried the gentle scent of soap and warm steam enveloping me as I dabbed my face with a towel. The bathroom exuded a soft glow, with the only audible presence being the leisurely drip of water from the faucet. As I lowered the towel and met my gaze in the mirror, a shiver ran down my spine. My reflection stood there, unchanged as always, yet an unsettling feeling lingered. For a fleeting moment, it seemed to shift right after I did. I blinked slowly, trying to dispel the haze clouding my thoughts. The cool touch of the bathroom tiles under my bare feet grounded me in the present moment. Leaning in closer to the mirror, I scrutinized my reflection intently. Everything appeared normal. My weary eyes, the gentle slope of my shoulders, the soft contours of my face. Yet a subtle, almost elusive discrepancy lurked beneath the surface. Perhaps it was the delayed glint in my eyes, a fraction of a second behind, akin to a ghostly echo of movement. Or it could have been the slight lag in my reflection's motion, scarcely noticeable yet undeniably present. Raising my hand, I observed closely. My hand shifted, and then at that precise moment, my reflection followed suit, not in sync. A heartbeat's pause, almost fleeting enough to be doubted. The house around me enveloped in silence, punctuated only by the gentle exhales of the evening. Beyond the windows, a soft rain had commenced, painting a rhythmic whisper against the glass. Its sound was comforting, a serene contrast to the peculiar sensation burgeoning within me. Inhaling deeply, I took in the soothing lavender fragrance from a nearby soap dish, seeking to quiet my racing thoughts. Memories of my grandmother's ancient tales flooded my mind, narrated in hushed tones on long winter nights. She spoke of mirrors as gateways, thin veils between the visible and the unseen. Mirrors, she would whisper, are more than mere reflections. They capture not just our likeness, but sometimes something else entirely. Turning away from the mirror, I ventured into my bedroom. The soft radiance of a bedside lamp cast gentle shadows across the walls. Books stood neatly arranged on the nightstand, their spines a comforting palette of familiar hues. Seating myself on the bed's edge, I listened to the rain's cadence, grappling to comprehend what transpired before my eyes. My thoughts drifted to the countless instances we spend gazing at our reflections, never truly perceiving. How many times had I faced a mirror, adjusting my appearance, fixing my attire, without pondering the depth of that mirrored realm? What if, just beyond the glass, an observer lurked, mimicking, waiting for an unknown purpose? The rain intensified, its melody growing more pronounced. Each droplet seemed to divulge a clandestine tale, a gentle beat that filled the room with an aura of serene enigma. Reclining on the bed, my gaze veered back to the slightly ajar bathroom door, where the mirror stood, silent, motionless, expectant. In that moment, I embraced the allure of ambiguity. The mirror harbored its enigma, and I found solace in leaving it unresolved. The boundary between reality and imagination often proves thinner than perceived, more fragile than a reflection's edge. A heaviness draped over my eyes as the last remnants of wakefulness ebbed away, accompanied by the symphony of rain, the soft radiance of the lamp, and the faint, almost imperceptible inkling that something, just beyond my awareness, observed, not with ill intent, but with a tranquil, inquisitive patience. And then I surrendered to the embrace of slumber. Story 2. The vintage store exuded the scent of weathered paper and aged wood. I strolled among the rows of books, letting my fingertips brush against the dusty spines. One book in particular drew me in. Its cracked leather cover beckoned, and as I opened it, a jolt ran through me. My name graced the first page, penned in a script foreign to my eyes. Outside, the soft patter of rain tapped against the window panes, creating a soothing melody that intertwined with the quickening beat of my heart. With each step on the creaking wooden floor, I gravitated towards a worn leather armchair, bathed in the warm glow of a small reading lamp, casting an amber light that enveloped the cozy nook. Nestled into the welcoming embrace of the chair, I felt a sense of familiarity wash over me. The diary, nestled in my hands, radiated an unexpected warmth, as though it had been anticipating my arrival. Tracing the faded ink with my fingers, I noticed how some letters melded into the paper like secrets yearning to be revealed. The first entry, penned decades ago, bore a striking resemblance to my own handwriting, the curves, the slant, nearly identical. It began with a simple observation. Strange how memories can slip between moments, like shadows passing through doorways we never noticed before. As I delved deeper into the narrative, the rain outside transitioned from a gentle tap to a continuous murmur, each droplet carrying a fragment of the tale, blending the present sounds with echoes of the past. The room's temperature hovered in perfect equilibrium, a comforting cocoon that beckoned me to immerse myself further in the diary's contents. The entries spoke of enigmatic occurrences, where reality folded and unfolded in perplexing ways. Footsteps echoing in empty rooms, reflections that defied logic, and untraceable presences left an indelible mark on the writer's experiences. One passage seized my attention. I've come to realize that time is not a straight line, but a tapestry woven with intricate patterns and unforeseen folds. Some memories are not merely recalled, but lived in different moments simultaneously. The narrative didn't evoke fear, but rather a profound sense of awe. Each page peeled back layers of existence, blurring the boundaries between the known and the unknown. The prose exuded a meditative quality, inviting the reader to drift into a tranquil realm of contemplation. With each turn of a page, the rain outside harmonized with the rustling of paper, transforming into a soothing symphony that melded with the lamp's golden glow, casting a magical hue over the diary's contents. The entries hinted at familial ties that transcended conventional understanding, weaving threads of shared experiences across generations, where memories flowed like water between disparate lives. The writer recounted moments of sudden recognition, faces in crowds that felt eerily familiar yet unplaceable. "Our connections run deeper than we fathom," one passage whispered. "Our lives intertwine, threads in a grand tapestry, some visible, others concealed, awaiting revelation." As twilight descended, the antique shop underwent a metamorphosis. Shadows crept between the shelves, infusing the space with depth and enigma. The rain persisted in its gentle serenade, a constant companion in the evolving narrative. The final entries veered into abstraction, delving into dreams more vivid than reality, musings on perception and the coexistence of memories in multiple states. The prose hinted at the fluidity of reality, challenging conventional notions. Hours slipped by unnoticed as I continued reading, enveloped in a tranquil haze. A sense of serenity settled within me, bridging the gap between remembrance and imagination. With darkness enveloping the room, I closed the diary, the leather cover warm against my palms, imbued with the essence of countless moments. Outside, the rain murmured its lullaby of gentle uncertainty. Some mysteries are not meant to be unraveled, but rather embraced, guiding us into realms of introspection and calm. The diary remained a conduit between the known and the unknown, inviting me to linger in the exquisite ambiguity of existence. Story 3. The setting sun bathed the rooftops in a comforting glow of warm orange light, casting a hushed stillness over the neighborhood. Gazing from my window, my eyes were drawn to the house across the street, a small dwelling that always seemed shrouded in shadow. It held a mysterious air, as if veiled in secrets kept from the light of day. Never had I seen my neighbor venture outside while the sun was high in the sky. It was only under the cloak of night, when the world around us slumbered, that his presence would silently slip into the quiet street. This peculiar sight had caught my attention months earlier, when I first arrived in this tranquil suburban enclave. Initially, I dismissed it as mere oddity. Perhaps he worked odd hours or followed a schedule unknown to me. But as time trickled by, the pattern of his nocturnal comings and goings grew more distinct, more deliberate. The house itself seemed to pulsate with an enigmatic rhythm, an unseen heartbeat beneath its still facade. Its windows remained perpetually veiled by heavy, motionless curtains that divulged nothing of the mysteries concealed within. In the daylight, the structure appeared almost deserted, yet an aura of quiet expectancy lingered, hinting at a presence unseen. Like a creeping vine reclaiming a forgotten wall, my curiosity slowly wound its way around this enigma. I found myself studying the subtle nuances, the meticulous details that spoke volumes in their silence. The lawn was impeccably groomed, the grass trimmed with precision, the borders sharp and defined. Yet never did I catch a glimpse of the hands that tended to such perfection. On rainy evenings, when the gentle percussion of droplets against glass filled the air with a soothing melody, the neighborhood would drift into a contemplative hush. It was then that the house would stir. A whisper of curtains, a fleeting glimmer in a window catching the moon's soft light in an otherworldly manner. Always fleeting, always just beyond grasp. Neighbors spoke of him in hushed tones, with a discomfort that hinted at unspoken fears. "He keeps to himself," they would murmur, a veil of uncertainty shrouding their words. His name, his occupation, the duration of his residence all remained elusive, as if he occupied a realm between presence and absence. On a particularly serene autumn night, with leaves whispering secrets along the pavement, I bore witness to a sight unlike any before. The door opened, and what emerged was different. The figure moved with a fluidity that defied the norms of human motion. Not stiff or mechanical, but fluid, as if a stream of water weaving through shadows. The streetlights cast an amber glow, creating pools of warmth interspersed with deep shadows. As the figure traversed the path, it seemed to meld and separate from the darkness, blurring the lines of reality. Details shifted with each blink of my eyes. A coat that wavered between solidity and transparency. A gait that exuded both purpose and hesitation. Following a precise route with a measured cadence, the figure vanished into the night's embrace between the neighboring houses. My fascination was not born of fear, but of a deep, contemplative intrigue. These nocturnal movements felt like a private ceremony, a sacred dance performed for the silent street and the watchful night alone. Each observation granted me a glimpse into a world existing parallel to our own, just beyond the threshold of comprehension. As the neighbors' windows dimmed, one by one, and the dogs ceased their nightly chorus, the world settled into a profound silence, a breath held in anticipation of the unknown. And amidst this quietude, my neighbor continued his nocturnal pilgrimage, a moving shadow against the velvety darkness. There was no sense of threat, only a profound sense of awe, a sensation akin to hearing a distant, unfamiliar melody hinting at truths beyond grasp. The enigma was not a puzzle to be solved, but an experience to be embraced, to be felt in the tranquil spaces between certainty and imagination. With the gradual approach of dawn, the figure would return. The door would close with a whisper-like finality, ushering in a profound stillness. Who was he? What unseen force beckoned him into the night's embrace? These questions drifted through my mind like wisps of cloud, never demanding answers, content to linger in the realm of exquisite uncertainty. Some mysteries, I realized, are not meant to be unraveled. They are meant to be witnessed, to be felt, a gentle caress upon one's skin, a memory just beyond reach, the ethereal realm between dream and wakefulness. Story 4. The chill of the cement floor seeped into my bare feet as I descended the basement stairs, guided by the dim glow of the flickering light. The musty scent of damp wood and dust enveloped me, a familiar aroma of forgotten corners and hidden memories. My purpose was to retrieve a photo album tucked away in one of the old boxes that lined the basement walls, but fate had a different plan for me on this eerie night. Among the dusty relics of the past, my eyes fell upon a figure that sent a shiver down my spine. The mannequin, a relic of another era, stood in the corner, its once hidden face now turned to meet my gaze. The basement seemed to hold its breath, waiting for my reaction to this unexpected twist in the silent narrative of the night. I remembered the day I brought this enigmatic mannequin home, a purchase from an estate sale that had whispered of untold stories and unseen histories. Its porcelain features, weathered by time, hinted at a life lived in shadows and secrets. As I stood frozen in that moment, I could almost sense a presence lingering in the air, a silent observer of my every move. The play of light and shadow in the basement created a mesmerizing dance around the motionless figure. The mannequin, once a mere object, now seemed to exude a quiet energy, a subtle aura that pulsed in harmony with the rhythm of the rain outside. Each droplet that tapped against the window pane added a layer of mystery to the scene, painting intricate patterns on the glass as if trying to communicate a message only the mannequin could decipher. With hesitant steps, I approached the silent sentinel, the creak of the floorboards beneath me, a ghostly echo of the past. The mannequin's unblinking gaze seemed to pierce through the veil of time, inviting me to unravel the threads of its hidden story. My grandmother's tales of objects holding memories echoed in my mind, urging me to listen to the whispers of the forgotten past that lingered in the shadows. As I studied the mannequin, I noticed subtle imperfections that hinted at a life lived beyond its stillness. A crack along its shoulder, a discoloration on its hand, each mark a chapter in a story untold. The flickering light played tricks on my perception, casting fleeting shadows that hinted at a life just beyond reach, a story waiting to be unveiled. Time in the basement seemed to lose its meaning, the outside world fading into the background as the mannequin became the focal point of my existence. The cool air wrapped around me like a gentle embrace, soothing and comforting in its embrace of the unknown. The rain continued its soft lullaby, a backdrop to the silent communion between myself and the mysterious figure before me. There was no fear in this moment, only a deep curiosity that pulled me closer to the enigma of the mannequin. It was not a fear of the unknown, but a reverence for the unseen, a recognition of the power that lay in the untold stories that surrounded us. The light flickered, the rain whispered, and the mannequin stood as a silent guardian of memories long forgotten. In the quiet depths of the basement, I realized that some mysteries were not meant to be unraveled, some stories not meant to be told in words. The mannequin, with its silent vigil, held a truth that transcended words, a memory that resonated in the spaces between understanding and feeling. And as I stood in that hushed sanctuary of shadows and whispers, I knew that some memories were best left undisturbed, some secrets meant to be kept in the silent embrace of the night. Story 5. The soft glow of dim light bathed the room, blending with the gentle hum emanating from my speakers as I settled in to revisit my latest lecture recording. My voice, a familiar comfort, echoed through the space, reciting words I had spoken before. But then, a shift, a whisper, barely there, a mere whisper of sound beneath my own voice. Those words were not mine. Intrigued, I leaned in, adjusting the volume dial. A soft static crackled in the pauses, weaving a rhythmic tapestry that pulsed with an unfamiliar cadence. My fingertips traced the smooth surface of the weathered wooden desk, seeking connection, while my ears strained to grasp the subtle anomaly. Recordings were my domain, a realm of academic pursuits focused on audio archives and historical documentations. Years spent immersed in narratives, yet this recording felt unique. The whisper held intention, a crafted message waiting to be unraveled. Closing my eyes, I surrendered to the symphony of sounds enveloping me. Rain tapped lightly against the window, a soothing percussion blending with the ambient recording. The whisper ebbed and flowed with the raindrops, a harmony both synchronized and independent. Patience, a virtue learned through research, guided me as I hit play once more. Donning a professional-grade headset, I isolated every nuance of sound. The whisper grew clearer, yet remained enigmatic. Unfamiliar language danced in melodic breaths, a communication transcending mere words. The room grew hushed, shadows elongating not in threat, but in quiet intrigue. Moonlight filtered through sheer curtains, painting my workspace in a soft silver sheen. Books stood sentry on shelves, their spines casting intricate patterns of light and dark. Memories surfaced of a colleague discussing hidden frequencies beyond human perception, carrying messages imperceptible to our ears. Was this recording a manifestation of such phenomena, or something more intimate, more personal? The whisper held emotional depth, not fear, not anger, but a complexity of feeling. Longing, perhaps, or a message yearning to be deciphered. Each replay unveiled new emotional layers, a delicate tapestry woven from sound. My hand found an old photograph on the desk, depicting a research team from years past, their expressions solemn and contemplative. Among them, a mentor who vanished mysteriously during a sound expedition. The whisper, as it continued, felt less like an external sound and more like a memory seeking form. Not menacing, but insistent, a gentle nudge towards the unknown. Outside, the rain softened, its rhythm mirroring the whispered cadence. My breath synced with the recording, blurring the line between listener and experiencer. In that moment, I understood this was not just an anomaly to unravel. It was an invitation to explore the spaces between sound and silence, between spoken and unspoken. More research awaited, more analysis to unravel its mysteries. But for now, it was a companion in the tranquil night, a tale waiting to reveal its secrets in due time. As weariness crept in, the whisper wove its enchanting dance between my recorded lecture and the nocturnal symphony, a gentle enigma promising revelations yet to come. Story 6. The wind softly stirred the curtains while I savored my tea. The night enveloped the world in a hushed stillness, and the moon bathed my backyard in a serene silver light. Approaching the window to shut it, a sudden chill ran down my spine, halting my movements. Across the street, amid the trees, stood a solitary figure, unmoving, facing me, my breath hitched in my throat. The silhouette stood motionless, a dark outline contrasting the ethereal moonbeams filtering through the skeletal branches. No gestures, no sudden shifts, just a presence blending into the shadows yet distinctly separate. I've always cherished this nocturnal hour. Reality softens, boundaries blur, and the known merges with the unknown like a delicate veil. My grandmother would weave tales of the mystical hours between midnight and dawn, how the boundary between realms thins, how memories and dreams intertwine like watercolors blending seamlessly. Slowly, I placed my teacup on the wooden table, the porcelain gently clinking, shattering the profound silence. The figure remained unmoved, not even a breath disrupting the tranquility. My home nestled on a tranquil street, adorned with ancient oak trees forming a natural canopy. Their branches intertwined above, casting intricate patterns of light and shadow that swayed with the gentle breeze. Tonight, those branches resembled delicate lace against the moonlit canvas, and within that intricate design, the enigmatic stranger stood in perfect stillness. Features indiscernible, no face, no attire, no defining traits, just a dark form, human-esque yet different. Not menacing per se, more like an unspoken query, a presence urging quiet reflection. The teacup beside me exuded lingering warmth, lavender tea, my nightly custom. Its subtle aroma enveloped the room, stark against the crisp night air seeping through the cracked window. Inhaling deeply, the tension in my shoulders ebbed away. Years of solitary living honed my perceptiveness, taught me to heed my intuition. And now my instincts didn't scream peril, they murmured curiosity, invitation. Moments drifted by, hours, perhaps. Time takes on a different cadence in these interludes. The silhouette remained unaltered, a living shadow seamlessly integrated into the landscape. Moonbeams subtly shifted, crafting new silhouettes among the branches, yet the figure held steadfast. A tale my grandfather once shared about liminal spaces flickered in my mind, those transitory junctures where reality bends, where perception flows like a river. This felt like one of those junctures. Not a menace, not a vow, just a presence. Wariness weighed on my eyelids. The tea's warmth, the gentle rustle of curtains, the silent gaze of the unknown observer all melded into a tranquil symphony. Fear didn't grip me. It was more akin to being witnessed, acknowledged. As slumber beckoned with its gentle allure, the figure lingered, unmoving, waiting, watching. A silent sentry of the night's enigmatic enigma. Come morning, the gentle sun would unveil the night's mysteries. But for now, in this suspended moment between wakefulness and dreams, everything felt plausible. Everything felt intertwined, and the figure endured. Story 7. The antique shop brimmed with forgotten treasures from a bygone era. Amidst the dusty relics and weathered trinkets, my gaze landed on a black and white photograph that beckoned me closer. It depicted a house strikingly similar to mine, frozen in time from decades past. Intrigued, I decided to purchase it and bring it home. Upon closer inspection, a chill ran down my spine as I noticed a shadowy figure now standing in the doorway, cloaked in darkness. Initially, I dismissed it as a trick of light, the soft evening glow filtering through my window, casting ethereal shadows that danced across the room, weaving a tapestry of mystery and intrigue. Placing the photograph on my weathered wooden side table, its worn edges and yellowed paper whispered of age and secrets long kept. The table creaked softly under the weight of the photograph, its voice echoing the whispers of the past. Memories flooded my mind of the musty interior of the shop, the aged floorboards murmuring beneath my steps, and the dust particles twirling in the faint beams of light. The elderly shopkeeper's trembling hands had wrapped the photograph in faded brown paper, cautioning me with cryptic words. Some things are better left undisturbed, his voice barely above a whisper. Now, in the stillness of my own abode, I scrutinized the photograph intently. The house in the image mirrored mine in every detail. The architectural lines, the window placements, even the front porch bore an uncanny resemblance from a forgotten era. But the figure, that enigmatic silhouette in the doorway, was a new addition, casting a veil of intrigue over the scene. Old photographs had always held a special allure for me, offering glimpses into forgotten tales and silent echoes of lives long past. However, this particular photograph exuded a peculiar aura, as if it pulsed with a life of its own, refusing to fade into obscurity. With each glance, the figure seemed to shift imperceptibly, a subtle movement that left me questioning reality. Was it edging closer to the forefront of the doorway, or was it merely a figment of my imagination? The room enveloped me in an unusual tranquility as rain whispered a soft lullaby against the window panes. Its gentle patter mingled with the quiet rustling of the photograph, as if it held a secret melody waiting to be unraveled. The wooden floorboards beneath my feet sighed with the changing humidity, adding a symphony of ambient sounds to the serene ambiance. Tracing my fingers along the photograph's weathered edges, I felt the texture of time etched into its surface. Faint watermarks danced across the paper, whispering of hidden memories longing to resurface. The figure in the doorway remained shrouded in darkness, a silent enigma that stirred a sense of familiarity deep within me. As evening deepened, shadows stretched across the room, and the warm amber glow of the lamp on my table cast soft halos around the objects in the room. The photograph stood as a silent sentinel, the mysterious figure seeming to observe me with a gaze that held more curiosity than menace. Questions swirled in my mind about the untold story behind this image, about the identity of the enigmatic figure standing guard in the doorway. The rain outside intensified briefly before easing into a gentle rhythm, mirroring the cadence of my own breath, slow, steady, contemplative. A sense of connection blossomed within me, replacing fear with a profound curiosity for this unexpected visitor from another time. Night descended like a velvet curtain, wrapping me in its soothing embrace. The photograph retained its position on the table, its secrets partly unveiled yet shrouded in mystery. The figure in the doorway remained a silent sentinel, a keeper of untold tales. As drowsiness washed over me, I realized that some mysteries were not meant to be unraveled entirely. They were meant to be savored, to evoke wonder and tranquility. The soft melody of rain, the ancient creaking of wood, and the silent presence in the photograph lulled me into a peaceful slumber, where dreams intertwined with whispers of the past, guiding me into a realm of serene uncertainty. Story 8. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloped my kitchen, swirling around me as I leisurely scrolled through my messages. Amid the mundane notifications, one message stood out, tugging at the edges of my consciousness. A friend's inquiry lingered in my mind, questioning why I hadn't acknowledged them at the grocery store the previous night. They insisted they had seen me there, clad in unfamiliar attire, an air of distant detachment surrounding me. Yet, I had not set foot outside my home. Initially, I dismissed it as a simple case of mistaken identity. People often confuse strangers for acquaintances in passing glances. However, as the days stretched into a blur of uncertainty, more peculiar encounters began to surface. Whispers of sightings reached my ears from unexpected sources. My aunt casually remarked about spotting me at a quaint cafe, adorned in a navy blue jacket she had gifted me ages ago. A colleague recounted a peculiar incident of observing me strolling down a bustling street, only to vanish into thin air when beckoned. Each account bore subtle discrepancies, like distorted reflections in a murky pond. The cafe version of me limped ever so slightly, a trait I was unfamiliar with. The street phantom exuded a confidence in their stride that felt foreign to my being. It was as though someone or something was mimicking fragments of my existence with an imperfect replication. Gradually, I began to discern subtle alterations in my surroundings, like whispers of a shadow dancing at the edges of my perception. Photographs hung askew, as if attempting to escape their frames when my gaze wavered. Books on my shelves shifted positions, their spines now facing alternate directions. These subtle disturbances whispered a cryptic tale of a reality slightly askew, a gentle nudge that hinted at a world beyond the tangible. Rain became my constant companion during this enigmatic phase. The soft pitter-patter of droplets against my window pane composed a melodic symphony, a comforting yet disquieting backdrop to the enigmatic tales circulating about my phantom counterpart. Recollections of my grandmother's folklore resurfaced, her stories of spirit doubles wandering between realms now resonating with an unsettling truth. What was once dismissed as whimsical legend now felt eerily tangible, a shiver down the spine of my reality. Night after night, I delved into the depths of ancestry, sifting through faded family albums in search of a clue, a shred of evidence to unravel this enigma. My parents' captured moments revealed nothing out of the ordinary, just snapshots of cherished memories frozen in time. Yet a lingering whisper persisted, a ghostly presence haunting the fringes of my consciousness. Strangers, with eyes filled with a peculiar blend of recognition and bewilderment, would approach me in passing. "Haven't we met before?" they would inquire, probing with a curiosity that mirrored my own confusion. Each encounter left me teetering on the edge of a reality I once thought immutable, a fragile boundary between the known and the unknown. The most vivid encounter unfolded on a mist-laden morning, as I prepared my morning sustenance in the familiar confines of my kitchen. A fleeting glimpse in the polished surface of the window revealed a figure that mirrored my own reflection, yet bore an essence of otherworldly distinction. A phantom doppelganger stood poised, exuding a grace beyond my reach, eyes brimming with a wisdom that felt simultaneously alien and intimately familiar. And just as swiftly as he appeared, he dissolved into the ether, a mirage vanishing with the dawn's first light. Through these surreal encounters, I have come to embrace the enigma that now shadows my existence. Some mysteries are not meant to be unraveled, some questions left to linger in the twilight between reality and imagination. If my ethereal twin exists, he remains a whisper in the fabric of my reality, a silent echo of what could be. Outside, the rain continues its gentle descent, a rhythmic cadence that serves as a reminder of the mysteries that dwell beyond the veil of certainty. Some stories are best left untold, some enigmas best savored in their ambiguity, a lullaby of uncertainty that lulls me into a realm of tranquil mystery. Story 9. The soft aroma of aged wood lingered in the hallway as I switched off the lights, signaling the end of the day. The house enveloped in silence, only the faint creak of the floorboards beneath my feet breaking the stillness. Just as I was about to retire to my bedroom, a noise halted me in my tracks, a slow, dragging creak that sent a shiver down my spine. I turned, a knot of unease forming in my stomach. The attic door stood ajar, a portal to the unknown. I stood motionless, straining to hear the whispers of the house, the gentle exhale of wind through ancient wooden bones, the quiet settling of aged timbers. Unlike other doors in the house, the attic door possessed a weightiness about it, a weathered exterior bearing the marks of time and holding within it secrets untold. Ordinarily, I would have closed it promptly, shutting away whatever lay beyond. However, an inexplicable curiosity rooted me to the spot, tendrils of mist-like fascination entwining my thoughts. The darkness on the other side of the door was not impenetrable. It held a faint silvery hue, as if moonbeams filtered through unseen panes, casting ethereal shadows that danced with a life of their own. Almost involuntarily, my hand extended towards the door, the cool touch of the wood sending a ripple of memories through me, echoes of the past reverberating with each contact. With hesitant steps, I crossed the threshold, the floorboards beneath my feet murmuring in a soft, melodic cadence, a language of whispers rather than creaks. Recollections of my grandmother's tales drifted through my mind, stories of sentient houses and spaces that transcended mere physicality. A gentle draft brushed against my skin, carrying an air of anticipation, as though the very atmosphere held its breath, awaiting revelation. Realization dawned upon me. I had entered without conscious intent, drawn into the attic's embrace. The attic revealed itself in a wash of moonlight, a celestial spotlight illuminating forgotten relics and shadowy shapes that held narratives within their contours. Amidst the scene, a solitary wooden chair, bathed in the moon's glow, stood out, a deliberate placement that hinted at a recent occupancy. Intrigued, I approached the chair, its age evident in the smoothness of its surface and the thin layer of dust disturbed by a recent departure. A faint imprint lingered, a ghostly echo of a presence now vanished. Silence reigned, pregnant with awareness, the stillness pulsating with a quiet vitality. My fingers trailed along the chair's frame, a flicker of recognition sparking within me, a memory just beyond reach. The hoot of an owl in the distance reverberated through the attic, stirring the dust motes into a graceful waltz as if responding to an unseen conductor. In a fleeting moment, the moonlight seemed to shift, almost forming coherent shapes before dissolving back into its gentle glow. A sense of companionship, of being watched without malice, enveloped me, a presence intertwined with the very essence of the space. The chair stood sentinel, the moonlight a tranquil guardian, and in the peripheral corners of perception, a mutual understanding blossomed between me and the unseen entity. Some enigmas, I realized, were not meant to be unraveled but embraced, felt in the depths of consciousness, where reality and imagination meld into something transcendent. I remained rooted in place, a part of the attic's narrative, breathing in harmony with its whispered secrets. Story 10. The night was draped in a serene hush, broken only by a distant, delicate melody that tiptoed through the air. Nestled in my beloved armchair, a woolen blanket draped over my knees, and a cup of chamomile tea, now chilled, resting on the nearby table, I glanced up from the book I had been engrossed in. The notes, like ethereal snowflakes, whispered a tune that stirred a sense of déjà vu within me. It was a piano, I was certain, playing a tune that felt both unfamiliar, yet strangely reminiscent, like a faded memory from a dream long forgotten. The house lay cloaked in shadows, the only source of light emanating from the small lamp beside me, casting a warm circle of light. Shadows waltzed on the walls in tandem with the mysterious music's rhythm. Rising slowly, the blanket slipped from my shoulders with a soft murmur. Each step on the wooden floor echoed faintly as I made my way towards the living room window. Beyond, the night lay tranquil and still, the full moon bathing the garden in its silvery glow, revealing the gentle sway of trees in the nocturnal breeze. The neighboring houses stood silent and cloaked in darkness, devoid of any signs of life. Yet the music persisted, a haunting melody that seemed to weave through the air from all directions and none simultaneously. Traversing through the house, room by room, I pursued the elusive source of the ever-shifting melody. In the kitchen, it beckoned from the living room. In the living room, it beckoned from the stairs. On the stairs, it descended from the upper floor. A hypnotic dance of echoes and whispers guided me through the familiar passages of my abode in a silent waltz. Upon reaching my bedroom upstairs, I noticed the door slightly ajar, a detail contradicting my memory of leaving it wide open that morning. Moonbeams filtered through the sheer curtains, painting intricate patterns on the floor. The music now resonated more clearly, hinting that I was nearing its origin. Pausing at the threshold, I surveyed the room with a watchful eye. My old music box, a relic gifted by my grandmother and left untouched for years, gleamed faintly in the dimness. In the quiet of the night, its miniature ballerina pirouetted slowly, casting a dancing shadow on the wall, the melody emanating from it, harmonizing with the ethereal tune that had drawn me there. With measured steps, I drew closer, feeling my heartbeat align with the music's cadence. The music box glowed with an otherworldly light, and as I reached out to touch it, I noticed its surface was not cold, but rather tepid, almost alive. The ballerina continued her twirl, and her features, once simple porcelain, now bore a striking resemblance to my grandmother's visage, complete with her familiar, gentle smile etched in miniature. The figurine's eyes met mine fleetingly, and in that instant, the melody shifted, morphing into a lullaby my grandmother had sung to me as a child. I stood transfixed, enveloped in the music's embrace, devoid of fear, only awash with a profound sense of peace and longing. The notes filled the room until, like receding tides, they ebbed away gradually. As the music dwindled to a close, the music box shut with a soft click. Silence reigned once more in the house, but it was a silence pregnant with significance. Descending back to my armchair downstairs, I retrieved the fallen blanket, wrapping myself in its warmth once more. The book lay open, its pages waiting, but my thoughts lingered on the music box and the memory it had invoked. How many melodies had remained captive within its silent mechanisms, awaiting the perfect moment for release? Since that night, on rare occasions when the house falls into a profound stillness and the full moon bathes the garden in its light, a sweet, familiar melody wafts through the air. I no longer seek its origin. Instead, I close my eyes, allowing the music to wash over me, understanding that some mysteries need not be unraveled to be cherished. Story 11. The gentle rain tapped against the window, creating a soothing symphony that filled the room with tranquility. The air was laced with the comforting aroma of damp wood and lingering tea, its steam swirling lazily above the forgotten cup on the desk. It was one of those rare nights tailor-made for losing oneself in a book, letting the words carry you away into dreams. Amidst this peaceful scene, 3 sharp knocks shattered the stillness, each one clear and purposeful, a sudden interruption that sent a shiver down my spine. I hesitated, my breath held captive by the unexpected sound. No visitors were anticipated at this late hour in my quiet abode. The old armchair I sat in let out a soft creak as I shifted, my fingers delicately marking the pages of the well-loved paperback before me. The antique clock on the wall displayed 11:47 p.m., its gentle ticking merging harmoniously with the rain's delicate rhythm. Living on the top floor meant visitors were a rarity, especially as the night deepened. The notion of someone seeking entry at this eerie hour sent a ripple of goosebumps across my skin. Motionless, I strained my ears, absorbing the symphony of raindrops and the familiar hum of the radiator. Perhaps it was a figment of my imagination, a byproduct of delving into eerie tales late into the night. I settled back into the plush chair, pulling the soft blanket snug around my shoulders. But then it happened again. 3 knocks, evenly spaced, each one echoing the previous with eerie precision. My heart quickened, not out of fear, but out of a strange recognition that tugged at the edges of my consciousness like a fleeting dream. Rising slowly, my footsteps whispering softly on the wooden floor, I approached the door. The warm glow of the reading lamp cast gentle shadows that danced around the room, adding to the mystique of the moment. A peculiar detail caught my attention. The usual draft seeping beneath the door was absent, despite the storm raging outside. Standing before the door, I tentatively pressed my palm against its surface. To my surprise, the wood exuded an unnatural warmth, as though basking in sunlight on a rainy night, a paradox that defied logic. Closing my eyes, I focused on the sensory tapestry surrounding me. The rain's gentle cadence, the distant rumble of thunder, the subtle vibrations as the door met my hand. 3 more knocks followed, softer this time, almost hesitant in their approach, like a gentle nudge from a long-forgotten friend. The warmth from the door pulsed with each knock, enveloping my hand and arm in a comforting embrace. Memories of my grandmother's tales surfaced, of nights when the boundaries between realms blurred and benevolent spirits sought to impart wisdom. Some doors lead to realms beyond our comprehension, her words echoed in my mind. Standing there, hand pressed against the radiant wood, I pondered if this was what she alluded to. The knocking ceased, yet the warmth lingered, pulsating like a heartbeat. The rain outside had altered its tempo, now mirroring the pattern of the earlier knocks. Time seemed fluid, elongating and contracting like molten honey. A golden hue bathed my surroundings, casting an otherworldly glow over my belongings. My books, the furniture, even the steam from the untouched tea, all enveloped in a soft luminescence. That night, the door remained unopened. I stood in contemplation until the warmth gradually dissipated and the rain resumed its random melody. Returning to my armchair, I found the tea still warm, as if time had stood still in that suspended moment. The clock showed 11:47 p.m., frozen in time since the inception of the mysterious knocks. On quiet, rainy nights, a familiar warmth sometimes emanates from the door, a gentle reminder of that enigmatic encounter. I've learned to cherish these inexplicable moments, recognizing that reality possesses veils we have yet to unveil. The knocks never recurred, but a transformation occurred within me that night. I've embraced the notion that certain enigmas are meant to be felt rather than deciphered, like a whispered secret that fades before comprehension. My grandmother's wisdom resonates with me now. Some doors are best left unopened, not out of fear, but in reverence for the delicate equilibrium between knowledge and the intangible. The true mystery lies not in the identity of the visitor, but in how it awakened a dormant part of me. Drifting into slumber that night, a newfound peace enveloped me, a serenity previously unknown. The rain continues to fall, the clock continues its rhythmic cadence, and occasionally, on special nights, I feel that familiar warmth against my palm. And in those moments, I smile, embracing the gentle mysteries that lull me into dreams with their elusive answers. Story 12. The mattress cradled me in its soft embrace, the duvet wrapping me in warmth. A gentle light seeped through the curtains, and the rhythmic ticking of the clock filled the room with a soothing cadence. Inhaling the clean scent of freshly laundered sheets, I allowed weariness to wash over me. But then a faint sound, a mere whisper, too near for comfort. It emanated from beneath the bed. Motionless, I regulated my breath, a skill honed through years of solitary living, where every unfamiliar noise demanded scrutiny. Yet this sound carried a weight, a presence that hung in the air, thick and tangible. Despite the intrusion, the bedroom exuded its usual sense of security. Shadows danced gracefully on the walls, painted by the glow of a distant street lamp. My cherished collection of weathered hardbacks stood sentinel on the shelves, their spines forming a mosaic of subdued hues in the dimness. The vintage alarm clock persisted in its gentle tick-tock, a melody that typically ushered me into slumber, but now seemed to echo each moment of heightened awareness. Another sound tiptoed into existence, so delicate it bordered on illusion. A slow, alien inhalation, succeeded by a breath exuding a subtle fragrance of mint and an earthy undertone, reminiscent of moist soil post-rain. My fingers curled around the sheets, not in panic but in silent contemplation. While my logical mind whispered explanations of faulty heating or a stray creature indoors, a primal instinct recognized a deeper truth. Tentatively, I reached towards the mattress's edge, not to visually confirm but to sense. The space below felt cool, as expected, yet it bore an unusual density, akin to submerging my hand in water. This sensation evoked memories of childhood swim lessons, of peering underwater to glimpse shapes that straddled the line between solid and fluid. Time unfurled with a peculiar elasticity. The clock maintained its steady beat, yet minutes elongated and condensed like shadows at dusk. I teetered between vigilance and a trance-like state, attuned to every subtle sound and shift in the atmosphere. The coexisting presence below neither threatened nor comforted, merely existing alongside my consciousness. Throughout the night, nuances surfaced that a more anxious mind might have overlooked. Whispers of floral fragrance wafted on the breeze, caressing my outstretched hand, redolent of night-blooming jasmine. Occasionally a faint tapping echoed, resembling fingers drumming on wood but resonating from the depths, akin to sounds reverberating from a bottomless well. As dawn crept nearer, the quality of darkness metamorphosed. The streetlight's glow yielded to the muted light of early morning, heralding a shift in the subterranean aura. The presence receded like the ebbing tide, leaving behind an intangible residue. A sense of having shared the night with an alien consciousness governed by enigmatic laws. Summoning courage, I peered beneath the bed as daylight flooded the room, revealing naught but dust and shadow. Yet the space appeared vaster, deeper than reality permitted, and the floorboards exuded a warmth incongruous with the morning chill. Etched faintly on the farthest plank, in the dim half-light, lingered a flawless handprint, dwarfed by my own, imprinted not in dust but in what resembled morning dew. I refrained from erasing it. Some enigmas merit preservation, occupying the tranquil realm between actuality and fancy. Nightly, I notice how the sounds below have transmuted into a comforting presence. The gentle rustle, the subdued respiration, the sporadic whisper of movement. I've come to comprehend that not all mysteries merit dread. Sometimes they serve as gentle reminders of the vast, intricate tapestry of the world. The handprint reappears each dawn, unfailingly in its place, always fresh with dew. I no longer strive to decipher its origin, just as I've ceased attempting to unravel why my slumber now runs deep as the ocean. Certain queries are best left as delicate enigmas, floating in the nebulous space between wakefulness and reverie, where the line between knowledge and intuition blurs beautifully. Story 13. In the gentle embrace of awakening, I am enveloped by a weighty sensation like a leaden shroud draping over me. The room is awash in a soft, opalescent glow, a radiant luminescence that emanates from no discernible source. The walls possess an elusive hue, shifting shades with each fleeting glance I cast away. The ceiling soars to lofty heights, far beyond the realm of ordinary chambers, vanishing into a velvety darkness reminiscent of a starless expanse. Nestled upon the bed, its plushness almost too yielding, I am swathed in silk sheets that whisper hypnotically against my skin with every subtle movement. A familiar sweet fragrance lingers in the air, redolent of a memory just beyond reach. Perhaps it is the essence of lavender or the warmth of vanilla. Yet as I strain to identify it, the scent metamorphoses into something altogether different. Time, here in this ethereal space, meanders in curious ways. Shadows ebb and flow as if imbued with a life force of their own, pirouetting upon the walls in a languid, mesmerizing cadence. Silence, though never absolute, is pervaded by a distant murmur akin to the rhythmic breath of a slumbering soul, or perchance the echo of my own heartbeat reverberating through the void. Rising from the bed, my bare feet sinking into a luxuriant carpet akin to walking upon billowing clouds, I survey the sparsely furnished room. Apart from the bed, there stands an antiquated desk of dark wood, a plush armchair cloaked in burgundy velvet, and an oval mirror encased in a gilded frame. The mirror, perpetually veiled in mist as if freshly steamed, yet without a bathroom in sight, beckons me closer. Upon the desk, an array of enigmatic objects awaits my perusal today. A time-worn leather-bound diary, a fountain pen dripping with midnight blue ink, and a steaming cup of tea exuding a delicate vapor. The tea, still warm, though I have no recollection of preparing it, emanates a soothing comfort. The diary's pages lie blank, yet beneath my touch, I sense the ghostly impressions of unseen words, etched in invisible ink upon the parchment. Yielding to the allure of the armchair, I sink into its welcoming embrace, the velvet yielding warmth as though recently vacated. From this vantage point, a peculiar anomaly arrests my gaze. The wall before me appears to pulse faintly, as if drawing breath in slumber. Intrigued, I approach for a closer inspection, only to find the barrier solid and motionless upon my approach. Seeking an exit, as is my custom, my hands trail along the walls, tracing each minute irregularity, each subtle crevice. At times I fancy I detect the outline of a handle, only for it to dissipate like mist at dawn upon my grasp. The misty mirror captivates my attention. Through the haze veiling its surface, a distorted reflection of myself peers back, movement seemingly delayed, as if my doppelganger hesitates in mimicry. And on rare occasions when the mist momentarily clears, a fleeting glimpse of a foreign visage staring back at me from within the glass unsettles my senses. Time ebbs and flows capriciously, light shifting in intensity to a rhythm divorced from the cycle of day and night. Seated in the armchair, perusing the diary for what appears to be minutes, I am startled to find the room's shadows transposed, as if hours have slipped away unnoticed. Reclining upon the bed once more, my gaze drawn to the infinite expanse of the ceiling, the sheets enfold me in a tender embrace, as if imbued with a life force of their own, cradling me in a cocoon of tranquility. The fragrance in the air intensifies, evoking memories of my grandmother's perfume, the aroma of freshly baked cookies, or perhaps the petrichor of summer rain on a verdant meadow. With a knowing resignation, I close my eyes, aware that upon reopening them, the cycle shall recommence. The room detains me, ensnaring my essence within this liminal realm betwixt dream and reality, where time warps upon itself akin to a Mobius strip. Uncertain if I dream the room or if the room dreams me, I yield once more to the embrace of slumber, a fragment of my being questioning whether an escape truly exists, or if perchance I never sought one. The room, an extension of my soul, or perhaps I an extension of its essence, entwined in an eternal waltz of awakening and reverie, where the boundaries betwixt actuality and fancy meld like hues upon a freshly painted canvas. Story 14. The rain softly tapped against the windows of my quaint country home, creating a soothing melody that blended with the gentle creaking of the wooden floor under my feet. On this particular autumn evening, the line between reality and fantasy felt delicately thin. Outside, the leaves of the trees swayed in the darkness, casting mysterious shadows on the cream walls of the hallway through the misty panes. Sitting in my cherished armchair, holding a cup of now cooled chamomile tea, I absent-mindedly watched as the light from the floor lamp formed a golden halo on the ground. A subtle shift in the atmosphere caught my attention, a feeling I couldn't quite place. It was as if the air had thickened, and the silence of the house had taken on a palpable quality. I stood up slowly, drawn by a flicker of movement in my periphery. The hallway leading to the bedroom seemed to stretch beyond its usual boundaries, the shadows growing darker and more alive in the corners. As I ventured further, the temperature dropped gradually, and the familiar sounds of my footsteps on the wooden floor seemed unfamiliar, almost foreign. The family portraits hanging on the walls appeared to regard me with altered expressions, as if the faces had shifted imperceptibly. Halfway down the hallway, a peculiar scent wafted towards me, a blend of ancient books and damp wood, foreign to my home. Turning towards the window, I noticed intricate patterns etched by the rain on the glass, patterns that seemed to follow a cryptic design. And then I saw it, a shadow, darker and different from the rest, gliding along the opposite wall with an eerie grace. It seemed to possess a solidity of its own, not cast by any visible object. As I observed, a sense of recognition washed over me, replacing fear with a curious familiarity. The shadow paused by the guest room door, taking on a vaguely human form. Stepping closer, I felt a subtle response from the shadow, a wavering acknowledgement of my presence. The whisper of the rain evolved into a continuous murmur, as if carrying a message. Straining my ears, I almost discerned words in an unknown yet strangely comprehensible language. The chill in the air enveloped me, a cool embrace akin to silk on a warm night. The shadow commenced a slow, fluid movement towards me, akin to a dance in slow motion. I stood motionless as it drew nearer, until it halted just a few steps away. In the hush of the house, my heartbeat sounded steady and calm. The shadow inclined slightly, as if in greeting. Driven by an inexplicable impulse, I raised my hand. Mirroring my action, the shadow seemed to extend a hand towards me, a warmth radiating where our hands nearly touched. And then, with graceful poise, the shadow began to disperse like smoke in a breeze, leaving behind a faint scent of jasmine and a profound sense of peace. I lingered in the hallway, the rain symphony slowly fading into silence. Returning to the living room, I found my tea still warm, as if time had paused during our encounter. Since that night, on rainy evenings, I traversed that hallway with heightened awareness, watching for glimpses of that familiar form dancing at the edge of sight. The mystery of the shadow remains unsolved, yet it has imparted not fear, but an acceptance of the unknown. The hallway now harbors its secret, and on quiet nights, as the rain taps at the windows, I await with a blend of curiosity and tranquility, another rendezvous with the dancing shadow beyond the hallway. Story 15. The rain fell heavily on the roof, composing a mesmerizing symphony as I readied myself for another solitary evening in my aged country abode. Rivulets traced their paths down the window panes, forming sinuous patterns that swayed in the soft candlelight flickering to combat encroaching darkness. A gentle breeze wafted through the garden, causing the leaves to rustle in a natural lullaby. Nestled in my cherished armchair, cradling a cup of steaming tea, I absent-mindedly observed wisps of vapor spiraling upwards into the air. The house murmured its usual familiar sounds, the faint groan of the settling wood, the rhythmic tick of the hallway clock's pendulum, the gentle whistle of wind slipping through unseen crevices. All appeared ordinary, yet an indefinable disturbance crept into my tranquil evening. It was during a sip of tea that I discerned something out of the ordinary. Through the hallway mirror's reflection, the upstairs bedroom window seemed to emanate a peculiar glow, as though a candle burned within. However, I knew for certain that no source of light resided in that room. Setting down my cup on the nearby table, I rose deliberately and made my way towards the staircase. Each wooden step groaned beneath my weight, a sound familiar from years spent in this dwelling. Yet on that evening, every creak felt distinct, as if the house itself sought to convey a message. The air grew colder as I ascended, a thin veil of dampness clinging to the upper hallway's walls. Pausing before the bedroom door, I hesitated briefly before turning the icy brass handle. With a slight squeak, the door swung open, revealing the chamber enveloped in shadows. The window, the very one glimpsed in the mirror's reflection, was shut. Yet to my astonishment, the lock began to shift on its own, inching open as if propelled by unseen hands. The gradual movement of the window defied explanation, the gentle breeze it allowed in carrying an ancient fragrance of dried flowers and aged timber. Approaching cautiously, I watched raindrops enter the room, forming tiny pools on the wooden sill. To my amazement, the droplets did not simply fall in a straight line. Instead, they pirouetted through the air, crafting intricate circles before alighting gracefully on the floor. While entranced by this inexplicable display, a movement seized my attention. Upon the window glass, words materialized as if an invisible hand inscribed them on the misted surface. The letters coalesced slowly, yet remained too blurred to decipher clearly. Drawing nearer, my heart thudded with a steady, intense rhythm. The curtains stirred gently, though no breeze stirred them. Their motion mimicked the slow, deep breaths of a slumbering being. Moonlight filtered through rain-laden clouds, casting flickering shadows on the walls that seemed to narrate silent tales. Extending a hand towards the window, I felt the chill outside air caress my fingertips. In the instant before contact, the window closed softly, mirroring its earlier, unhurried movement. The latch clicked with a delicate finality, dispersing the lingering ancient scent that had pervaded the room. I stood immobile for several moments, attuned to the persistent patter of rain beyond. The chamber had reverted to its usual appearance, yet a shift had occurred. It was as though the house had endeavored to reveal a glimpse of another realm, one parallel to our own, visible solely in those rare instants when reality and mystery intermingle like gossamer threads. Since that fateful night, whenever rain falls, I settle into my armchair and observe the window's reflection in the hallway mirror. At times it remains still. On other occasions, it opens gradually, a silent ritual that has woven itself into the fabric of my existence. The source of this phenomenon remains a mystery to me, yet I have come to embrace it as a facet of my abode's enigmatic nature, a clandestine bond shared solely between myself and these venerable walls. And on the stillest nights, when the wind murmurs through the trees and the rain whispers softly, I almost sense a familiar presence keeping vigil, an invisible guardian choosing to coexist within this space, materializing through a window that unfurls of its own accord. Story 16. The gentle cadence of raindrops tapping against my window had woven itself into the soundtrack of my late-night writing rituals. Each droplet, like a liquid messenger, traced shimmering paths down the glass, painting a transient masterpiece of aqueous light. Bathed in the soft amber aura of my desk lamp, I sat ensconced in a cocoon of shadows, the rest of the room a silent spectator to the dance of the rain. It had become a habit, a quiet indulgence, to lose myself in the intricate patterns formed by the wandering raindrops. On nights when my thoughts strayed from the task at hand, I would find myself conjuring stories hidden within the crystalline trails left behind. But on this particular night, there was a shift in the usual rhythm of the rain. The water seemed to flow with a purpose, as if guided by an unseen force, defying its natural course. Initially, I brushed it off as a trick of my weary eyes, the hypnotic symphony of rain nearly coaxing me into the realm between consciousness and slumber. Yet as I continued to observe, the anomalies in the droplets' movements grew more pronounced. They avoided certain areas of the glass, forming dry patches that gradually coalesced into the silhouette of a figure. Intrigued, I leaned in closer, my breath catching in my throat. In the reflection beyond the rain-streaked pane, I glimpsed the dim interior of my room. And there, within that layered mirror of glass and water, I beheld a peculiar sight. My own reflection appeared slightly out of sync, a subtle delay in its movements that sent a shiver down my spine. The rain's whisper intensified, a melodic hum that filled the room, drowning out all other sounds. Mesmerized, I watched as my mirrored self reached out to touch the glass, a gesture I had not initiated. The motion was fluid, graceful, as if following a choreography unknown to me. A warmth, inexplicable yet comforting, spread through my skin, juxtaposing the chill of the night air. Slowly, imperceptibly, my reflection began to transform before my eyes. Features shifted, morphing into a visage at once familiar and alien. The eyes that met mine held a wisdom far beyond my years, a depth that seemed to span epochs. Frozen in place, I witnessed as my reflection transcended gender, age, time itself, embodying an essence that defied definition. The rain, now swirling in perfect circles around the figure in the glass, defied gravity with each liquid revolution. A flicker, a momentary dimming of my lamp, cast a fleeting shadow over the room. And in that fleeting darkness, I felt a presence, ethereal yet palpable, beside me, a touch as tender as a mother's caress. When light returned, my reflection mirrored my movements once more, the enigmatic transformation undone. But the rain continued its dance in those mystifying circles, a silent testament to the extraordinary visitor that had graced my window. Hours slipped by as I sat in reverent vigil, pondering the significance of what I had witnessed. The lingering presence, more memory than apparition, wrapped around me like a cherished melody, neither alarming nor intrusive. With the gradual retreat of the rain as dawn approached, the window bore only mundane streaks of water, concealing the extraordinary encounter that had transpired. Yet, on future rainy nights, I found myself drawn to that window, pen and paper abandoned on my desk. In those rare moments when the rainfall orchestrated a perfect mirror, I glimpsed my other self peering back at me through the shimmering veil of rain. A silent understanding passed between us, a recognition of mysteries meant to be felt rather than unraveled. The rain persisted in its gentle descent, each droplet a messenger carrying the promise of another meeting. And in the ethereal space between watcher and watched, I wondered if, in a parallel existence, another version of myself sat by their own window, yearning to catch a glimpse of my world through the silver threads of rain. Story 17. The gentle crackling of the fireplace enveloped the room in a cocoon of soothing warmth. My hand moved in slow, rhythmic strokes across my dog's velvety fur as he nestled beside me, his eyes drooping with contentment. Yet, in an instant, his demeanor shifted. A sudden alertness seized him, his ears erect, breaths coming in deep and heavy. With a swift motion, he rose from his resting place and began to bark, fixating on a shadowed corner of the room. Initially, I brushed off his behavior as nothing out of the ordinary. Max possessed a sensitivity to the faintest of noises, a rustling leaf against the window, a scuttling mouse within the walls. But this time felt different, an eerie undercurrent threading through the air. His barks carried a tone of uncertainty, a silent query hanging in the room like a delicate mist. The flickering flames from the hearth painted playful patterns on the walls, and my gaze was drawn to that darkened corner where an antique bookshelf stood sentinel. Its time-worn frame bore the weight of years, rows of dusty tomes standing vigil. Everything appeared as it should, yet Max's unwavering stare and peculiar barks persisted. A chill seemed to seep from that very corner, a whisper of frost weaving through the room despite the fire's steady blaze. Wrapping my blanket tighter around me, I observed as Max tentatively advanced, his tail held low but not tucked in fear. This nightly ritual of his, a silent vigil in the face of the unknown, became our shared reality. As twilight descended and I settled into my favorite armchair, Max's attention unfailingly gravitated towards that enigmatic corner. Sometimes he would merely observe, muscles taut with anticipation. Other times, a soft, almost melodic bark would escape his lips, a cryptic attempt at communication with a realm beyond my perception. Subtle shifts began to unfold within the room's confines. Books would subtly rearrange themselves overnight in defiance of logic. The temperature would waver inexplicably, and on occasion, a foreign scent would waft through the air, a delicate blend of ancient parchment and morning dew. My rational mind sought logical explanations, but the inexplicable occurrences persisted, defying reason. One evening, bathed in the soft glow of lamplight, I was startled by Max's familiar warning bark. Raising my gaze, I beheld a sight beyond comprehension. Dust particles danced in the air near the bookshelf, moving against the laws of nature, swirling and coalescing into intricate patterns resembling letters before dissolving into nothingness. Beside me, Max emitted a soft whine, a protective presence at my side. I reached out to reassure him, my fingers sinking into his soft fur, grounding me in the realm of the tangible. I began to document these occurrences in a journal, noting timestamps, temperature fluctuations, and Max's varying responses. Slowly, a pattern emerged, like a latent image developing in a dark room. The mysterious phenomena seemed to intensify during the waning of the moon, or the gentle patter of rain against the window panes. The displaced books always hailed from the same shelf, ancient volumes of poetry and folklore steeped in the history of the house. In the liminal space between wakefulness and slumber, I felt as though I could almost glimpse the world through Max's eyes. The corner of the room appeared to stretch infinitely, shadows taking on a fluidity that defied explanation. But each time I attempted to focus on these spectral manifestations, they eluded my grasp, slipping away like elusive phantoms. There was no sense of menace in their presence, rather a quiet curiosity enveloped us, a trio engaged in a delicate dance of discovery. The enigma morphed into a comforting familiarity, akin to an old, well-worn sweater that cradles you on crisp evenings. As I pen these words bathed in the flickering glow of the fire, Max lies at my feet, his vigilant gaze occasionally drifting to the shadowed corner. The bookshelf stands sentinel, its secrets shrouded in the depths of time, a mystery that may never fully unravel. Yet I've come to embrace this peculiar communion with the unknown, a symbiotic relationship with the ethereal. Some mysteries, I've come to realize, are not meant to be dissected, but rather embraced, much like the soft hues of twilight or the gentle caress of the breeze through the trees. The fire crackles on, casting its warm embrace over the room. Max has surrendered to a peaceful slumber, his ears twitching intermittently in dreams. In the corner, the shadows deepen as night descends, cradling their ancient secrets close. Perhaps comprehension transcends mere sight, rooted in the profound trust we place in the intangible whispers of the night, in those fleeting moments between heartbeats. Story 18. Silence draped the narrow streets of the quaint hillside village like a soft velvet cloak. It was an autumn evening filled with the scent of burning wood and damp leaves, as mist slithered through the alleys like a silent phantom. Gazing from my perch on the third floor, I observed the warm glow emanating from the windows of the neighboring houses. It struck me as peculiar to see so many lights ablaze at such a late hour, yet no signs of life stirred behind the misty panes. The church bell tolled 10 in the evening, its chime ringing hollow, as if shrouded in a cocoon of cotton. Though I had only recently arrived in this town 3 weeks prior, I had never witnessed the streets so eerily deserted. Normally, even at this late hour, a lone figure would be out walking their dog, or the chatter of young folks from the corner pub would drift through the night air. Perched in my favorite armchair, cradling a cup of chamomile tea, I noted the absence of even the usual stray cat that frequented Mrs. Miller's windowsill. Wisps of steam spiraled from the cup, forming fleeting shapes that dissolved into the darkness of the room. Opting to keep only a small reading lamp aglow, its soft light casting gentle shadows on the cream-colored walls, I found myself captivated by the serene ambience. A sudden rustling sound caught my attention, originating from the hallway leading to the bedroom. Intrigued rather than alarmed, I turned my gaze toward the source of the noise. The sound persisted at regular intervals, akin to the gentle drag of paper across a floor. Rising from my seat, I carefully set down the cup on the wooden side table beside me. As I approached the hallway, I discerned a chill in the air, not the harsh bite of winter, but a coolness reminiscent of an ancient sanctuary. The creak of the hardwood floor underfoot, a familiar sound, oddly reassured me as I ventured closer. Pausing at the threshold of the bedroom, I hesitated. The slightly ajar door emitted a bluish light, unlike any other illumination within my abode. Pushing the door open with a soft creak, I revealed a scene bathed in an otherworldly glow. The window remained shut, yet the curtain fluttered as if stirred by a gentle breeze. On the floor, just beneath the window, lay a single sheet of paper. Drawing nearer, I recognized it as a fragment of a newspaper, its date reading October 15, 1954. The headline of the article promptly seized my attention: Enigmatic Night of Hush in Pine Grove. The narrative recounted a night when the town's denizens had sequestered themselves within their homes, as if bound by an unspoken pact whose origins had faded from memory. While absorbed in the article, movement beyond the window drew my gaze. Across the street, the lights in the houses extinguished one by one, akin to candles snuffed by a breeze. Yet, within the dim interiors, motionless silhouettes appeared to gaze outward, their presence palpable. A vibration from my cell phone in my robe pocket interrupted the surreal tableau. A message from the building's WhatsApp group materialized. Tonight, remain indoors. It is of utmost importance. Peering out the window once more, I discerned that all lights had now dimmed, save for mine. Amidst the deepening silence, I perceived the deceleration of my heartbeat, as if aligning with an ancient, enigmatic rhythm. Perching on the edge of the bed, clutching the newspaper scrap, I marveled at its remarkable softness, as though imbued with a history of handling. Beyond the window, the fog thickened, enveloping the streetlights in a milky haze. Surveying the length of the town's main street from my vantage point, I mused on the recollections detailed in the article. Witnesses from that time had purportedly forgotten the events of that silent night by morning. Rising slowly, I made my way to the light switch. Pausing before extinguishing the glow, I cast a final glance through the window. The mist outside contorted into sinuous, almost dance-like forms, within which I fancied glimpses of figures moving, like shadows adrift in a sea of milk. With the room plunged into darkness, I settled onto the bed, fully clothed. The silence now enveloped me entirely, punctuated solely by the rhythmic ticking of the clock on the nightstand. Drifting into a profound slumber, I pondered whether the dawn would bring recollection of this peculiar night, or if I, like the town's residents of yore, would remain oblivious to the cyclical mystery woven into our lives. As sleep beckoned, the distant toll of midnight bells resonated in my mind, their cadence oddly muted, as though emanating from a realm where silence reigned as the universal language of all beings. Story 19. The autumn mist enveloped the streets like a soft, gray blanket, casting a mysterious allure over the city as I made my way home from a grueling day at work. Amid the dim glow of the streetlights, a pair of headlights emerged from the fog, trailing behind me with unwavering persistence. A peculiar sensation crept into my mind, a subtle intuition that whispered of something peculiar about the unyielding presence of that car behind me, matching my every move with eerie precision. The distant hum of the engine echoed like a steady heartbeat, synchronized with the rhythm of my journey. Whether I slowed down or sped up, the car mirrored my actions, a silent companion in the night. Peering through the rearview mirror, I could only discern a shadowy figure, a vehicle shrouded in mystery, its headlights resembling vigilant eyes fixed upon me without faltering. Navigating through the quiet neighborhood, where sleeping houses exuded an air of serenity, a sense of disquiet gnawed at me. In a bold move, I deviated from my usual path, venturing down unfamiliar streets. Yet, the car followed suit, maintaining its enigmatic proximity, as if bound to me by an invisible thread. The gentle patter of rain on the windshield added a soothing cadence to our nocturnal ballet, a stark contrast to the tension that lingered in the air. Twisting and turning through the labyrinthine roads, our silent duet persisted, the headlights a constant presence in my periphery. Neither drawing too near nor falling behind, the car seemed to move in perfect harmony with my own. As the neighborhood slumbered, oblivious to our clandestine performance, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of being part of a cryptic dance orchestrated by unseen forces. Halting at a traffic light, a fleeting glimpse through the rain-splattered glass revealed a figure seated motionless in the driver's seat of the trailing car, an enigmatic silhouette frozen in time. Resolving to return home, I parked in my driveway, the stillness broken only by the gentle drumming of rain on the car roof and the steady thump of my heart. In the eerie quietude, I watched as the car lingered a few yards away, its headlights piercing the darkness like vigilant sentinels. Minutes stretched into eternity, the suspense thickening the air, until, with a gradual motion, the headlights flickered off. Peering into the obsidian veil of the night, I strained to discern the outline of the vehicle, only to find an empty street devoid of any trace of the spectral follower. Since that fateful night, whenever I traverse the nocturnal landscape, a lingering unease compels me to glance more frequently into the rearview mirror. And on mist-laden evenings, when the veil of fog descends, I catch glimpses of those familiar headlights in the distance, a haunting reminder of that enigmatic encounter. I often ponder if the car still prowls the shadows, pursuing another unwitting traveler, or if it bides its time, waiting for the perfect moment to rejoin me in our mysterious dance through the city's nocturnal realm. Story 20. The rain cascaded down on the roof of the house, its hypnotic cadence weaving a natural lullaby that enveloped the night in a blanket of tranquility. Nestled in my cherished armchair, cradling a cup of chamomile tea turned cold in my hands, I found myself lost in the soothing symphony of raindrops. Amidst this peaceful serenade, a faint whisper of sound beckoned my attention. A delicate rustle, barely audible over the rain, resembling the soft patter of footsteps emanating from the depths of the basement. Initially dismissing it as mere echoes of the house settling, I reminded myself of the peculiar language spoken by old homes, a dialect of creaks and murmurs, especially pronounced on damp, rainy evenings. Yet, a subtle unease lingered, a sense that these sounds bore a rhythm too precise, too deliberate to be mere house whispers. Slowly rising from my seat, I set down the cup on the nearby table, feeling the residual warmth of the wooden floor beneath my feet, a gentle reminder of the day's fading heat. Approaching the basement door, a chill crept into the air, as though an icy breath rose from the stairwell. The brass handle, icy to the touch, yielded to my grasp with a soft click that reverberated through the silence. Descending the staircase into the darkness, my cautious steps merged with the mysterious footfalls that had stirred my curiosity. The familiar scent of the basement, a blend of aged wood, damp earth, and elusive fragrances, intensified with each step downward. In the subterranean chamber, shadows danced and twisted with the play of lightning through the skylight, casting eerie shapes upon the walls. Amidst this spectral display, I spied an anomaly. Faint, moisture-laden footprints traced the dusty floor, as if an unseen visitor with damp soles had tread a circular path in the center of the room. Intrigued, I drew closer to examine the enigmatic imprints, puzzled by their origin. A subtle movement in the shadowed corner seized my attention, drawing my gaze to a realm untouched by light. There a slow, almost imperceptible motion stirred, sparking a blend of curiosity and familiarity within me. As I approached the dark recess, the air grew colder, the echoing footsteps now encompassing the entire space in an uncanny symphony of movement. A realization dawned upon me as I discerned the intricate pattern of the footprints, a spiral design converging towards the room's center. The freshest prints, still glistening with moisture, hinted at recent passage, their presence fading into the frigid basement air. Motionless, I observed this ephemeral dance, the footsteps gradually fading into the background hum of the relentless rain. Ascending the stairs once more, I carried with me a profound sense of tranquility, as though I had glimpsed a timeless ritual unfolding in the hidden recesses of the house. That night, as I retired to bed, the rain's melody took on a newfound resonance, mirroring the enigmatic footsteps that had stirred my senses. Drifting into slumber, I pondered the possibility of their return, wondering if I would find the courage to unravel the mystery veiled within the dust-laden footprints of the basement. Story 21. In the deep shroud of night, a thick darkness enveloped the room, only pierced by a feeble light from the street lamp outside. I shifted restlessly in bed, yearning for a more comforting position when suddenly I halted. A subtle weight pressed down at the foot of the mattress, as though an unseen presence sat there, unmoving, observing. With bated breath, I lay motionless, trying to decipher the strange sensation. The weight lingered, a constant presence, neither shifting nor increasing, like a patient spectator awaiting an opportune moment. The ancient house groaned and settled, its wooden frame sighing in the stillness of the night, each sound now imbued with a deeper significance. Struggling to see in the dim light, I focused on my other senses. An unusual chill hung in the air, contrary to the season. My cotton sheets draped over me like a heavy shroud, anchoring me in place. Outside, the nocturnal breeze rustled the leaves, whispering enigmatic secrets that eluded my understanding. Time warped and twisted, minutes blending into hours as I lay unmoving, attuned to every whisper of air, every faint sound. The street lamp cast long shadows that seemed to sway with the dance of tree branches outside, breathing in synchrony with the night. My heartbeat thrummed steadily, not in fear but in a primal communion with the profound awareness of the moment. Gradually, shapes emerged from the darkness as my eyes adjusted. The familiar contours of furniture, the gentle drape of curtains, and a deeper shadow at the foot of my bed. It remained still, unthreatening, simply existing, as if it had always been there, awaiting acknowledgement. A strange calm settled over me, a curiosity replacing the initial shock. Neither malevolent nor benevolent, the presence exuded a tranquil aura, sharing this nocturnal solitude. Memories of my grandmother's tales surfaced, of night visitors who observed, remembered, without malice. The bedside clock's gentle ticking marked time's passage, each second a gentle reminder of the world's ceaseless turn, even in this suspended moment. A passing car briefly flooded the room with light, revealing only ordinary shadows, yet the weight persisted, steadfast and undeniable. Subtle shifts permeated the room, a metallic tang in the air, shadows now possessing depth, extending into unseen realms. The silence deepened, as if the night itself listened intently. Recollections flooded my mind of nights spent in this room, dreams dreamt, tears shed, thoughts pondered in the veiled hours before dawn. Had this presence lingered unnoticed before, bearing witness to my joys, sorrows, and musings? Instead of unease, a sense of companionship bloomed within me, a shared understanding in the quietude of night. With the first hints of dawn's light softening the darkness, a subtle change rippled through the room. The weight at the foot of my bed lifted, dissipating like morning mist, gradual and serene. I remained still, refraining from gazing directly at the vanished presence. Some things I realized were meant to be felt, remembered, not seen clearly. When I finally rose, the room lay empty, bathed in the gentle glow of early morning. The indentation in the mattress where the weight had lingered remained undisturbed, smooth, yet an intangible shift had occurred. The room felt transformed, expanded, embracing new possibilities previously unseen. Each night, as I nestled into bed, I became attuned to the spaces around me in ways unexplored before. I discerned the nuances of darkness, the texture of silence, the weight of shadows. And sometimes, in the deepest hours of night, I sensed that gentle depression at the foot of my bed once more. No longer gripped by fear or doubt, I listened to the night's murmurs, pondering what stories my visitor had come to witness this time. Story 22. The gentle breeze carried the earthy fragrance of moist soil and dew-kissed leaves, wrapping me in a cocoon of tranquility. Sunlight filtered through the swaying branches above, painting the world in hues of golden warmth. I strolled along a narrow path, guided by the distant melody of a bird's song that seemed to beckon me forward. But then, as if a spell had been cast, the song abruptly ceased, and I found myself standing in silence. The path vanished from sight. Immersed in the ancient whispers of the forest, each step I took sank into the velvety moss beneath, cradling me in its soft embrace. The amber glow of evening light bathed the surroundings, yet a subtle shift had occurred. Shadows elongated, extending like gentle caresses across the forest floor, as if reaching out to guide me through this ethereal realm. My footsteps echoed softly as I continued, compelled by an unseen force, the forest metamorphosing around me into a realm of enchantment I had never before encountered. The trees towered majestically, their bark shimmering with elusive patterns that danced at the edges of my vision. Delicate white flowers adorned the ground, their petals emitting a gentle luminescence in the dimming light. A gradual chill crept through the air, accompanied by a delicate mist that draped the tree trunks like ethereal veils. The distant murmur of water enveloped me, its source elusive, seeming to emanate from all directions at once. An unfamiliar yet inviting aroma wafted through the air, reminiscent of honey and aged parchment. As I ventured forth, intricate patterns of stones arranged in mysterious formations caught my eye. Perfect circles and spirals emerged, each stone placed with meticulous care, some adorned with delicate etchings, others pulsating with a subtle inner glow. Though tempted to touch them, an unspoken understanding kept me from disrupting their arrangement. The forest thickened, yet a gentle luminosity suffused the surroundings, the mist now casting a pearlescent sheen. I traversed clearings where the whispering grass seemed to impart cryptic messages, and where clusters of mushrooms formed celestial rings mirroring the unseen constellations above. Though the canopy obscured the sky, an unspoken harmony resonated within me, a sense that the earthly and celestial aligned in silent agreement. Time flowed like molten honey, its passing marked by indiscernible increments. Minutes melded seamlessly into hours, the hands of my watch appearing to move in reverse when I dared to glance at them. The frosted crystal face, adorned with intricate patterns, seemed to shift and transform with each passing moment. A rivulet meandered before me, defying gravity as it flowed uphill, its crystalline waters devoid of reflection. Beneath the surface, ephemeral lights danced in a mesmerizing display, akin to stars trapped in liquid motion. The melodic cadence of the stream, both familiar and alien, echoed around me, a symphony played in reverse, yet retaining its haunting beauty. Peripheral movements flickered like gentle phantoms, subtle shifts in the very air surrounding me, as if the forest itself pulsed with a living breath. Figures, elusive and benign, traversed unseen pathways parallel to mine. Their presence felt rather than seen, like specters in a bustling train station, oblivious to my existence. The moss beneath my feet unfurled intricate patterns, spirals and undulating waves that emanated from each footfall, a transient canvas capturing my passage before fading into obscurity. The air shimmered with a myriad of luminous specks, dancing purposefully in ephemeral formations that teased recognition. Arriving at a vast clearing, I beheld a spectacle of swirling mist forming intricate geometries. At its heart stood an ancient tree, its gnarled trunk contorted into impossible shapes, its branches arching and cascading to the earth in a natural spectacle. The leaves transformed with each breath I drew, evolving through a spectrum of hues beyond earthly description. Drawing closer, I discerned cryptic inscriptions adorning the bark, their meaning inscrutable yet resonating within me like a delicate touch upon the soul. Night descended, yet darkness held no dominion, yielding to a silver twilight that suffused the forest in a radiant glow. A gentle hum reverberated through the air, its rhythm synchronized with my own heartbeat, merging until they became indistinguishable. Fear dissipated, for how could trepidation dwell in a realm that felt as familiar as a cherished memory, despite its enigmatic nature? Here I sit, transcribing these words upon pages materialized from the fabric of this realm, ink flowing upward to form letters as if guided by unseen hands. Not adrift, but anchored in this moment, where the forest whispers secrets known only to its ancient heart. The bird's melody that led me here has faded, replaced by new harmonies that taste of moonlight and rustle like autumn leaves in the wind. Perhaps I shall follow their serenade next, or perhaps I shall linger in this place where the extraordinary feels commonplace, and time meanders like a gentle stream through cupped palms. After all, being lost holds no power in a realm where the journey is its own destination. Story 23. In the depths of the night, my senses stirred to the gentle, rhythmic ticking of a pendulum, a metronome of time in a realm unknown. The sound pulsed through the stillness, a mechanical heartbeat resonating in the darkness that enveloped me. Slowly, as if emerging from a dream, my eyes fluttered open to unveil a space bathed in the soft hues of twilight. I found myself reclined on a vintage burgundy velvet sofa, its plushness bearing the marks of time's caress. A fragrance lingered in the air, a delicate blend of aged wood, dried flowers, and a mysterious undertone that eluded my recognition. The room revealed itself gradually, illuminated by the faint glow filtering through heavy brocade curtains, casting intricate shadows upon the faded Victorian wallpaper. Antique furniture stood sentinel-like in the corners, their dark wood exuding a silent elegance. A towering bookshelf dominated one wall, its shelves laden with leather-bound tomes untouched by human hands for ages. A delicate porcelain teacup, still emitting wisps of steam, rested upon a nearby table, a silent invitation. Rising from the comfort of the couch, my muscles protested the long slumber they had endured. Each footfall on the soft Persian rug echoed faintly as I made my way to the window. Drawing back the curtains revealed a mist-laden garden, where the silhouettes of trees and shrubs swayed gently in the evening breeze, veiled in a shroud of mystery. Startled, I caught sight of my reflection in the glass, clad in garments foreign to me. A linen shirt, a brocade vest, and velvet trousers tailored to a bygone era. The fabric felt familiar beneath my fingertips, evoking a sense of déjà vu that lingered uneasily. A subtle movement at the edge of my vision drew my gaze inward, but the room remained still, save for the relentless pendulum marking the passage of time. With a sense of curiosity tinged with trepidation, I resolved to explore the enigmatic abode beyond the confines of the room. The door yielded with a soft creak, unveiling a dimly lit corridor stretching into the unknown. Portraits of unfamiliar faces adorned the walls, their gaze seeming to follow my every movement as I navigated the hushed passageway. The aged floorboards groaned beneath my weight, magnifying the sound in the profound silence that enveloped me. Ascending a chilling staircase, I felt a sense of familiarity in the cold touch of the banister, a memory just out of reach. At the top, a series of closed doors lined the hallway, each bearing inscriptions in brass that eluded comprehension in the dimness. A haunting melody, faint as a whisper, drifted through the air, guiding me toward the final door at the corridor's end. The piano notes, ethereal and elusive, seemed to beckon from the room beyond, evoking a sense of nostalgia tinged with melancholy. Pushing open the door, I beheld an empty chamber, save for a grand piano draped in a ghostly white sheet. The echoes of a phantom melody lingered in the air, a poignant reminder of a past long forgotten. Approaching the instrument, I unveiled the keys shrouded in dust motes dancing in the dying light. Resting atop the ivory, a yellowed photograph captured a scene from a distant era, a figure seated at the piano, a figure that mirrored my own reflection, dressed in the same antiquated attire I now wore. Descending back into the lower realm of the house, a sense of eerie tranquility settled within me, embracing the surrealism of the moment. The pendulum's steady cadence seemed to synchronize with the rhythm of my own heartbeat, a harmonious duet of existence and memory. Settling back onto the velvet couch, I noticed the teacup still radiating warmth, an anchor in the shifting currents of time. Gazing into the amber liquid, a realization dawned upon me. Perhaps I had never truly roused from slumber, or perhaps I had stepped into a dream woven by another's subconscious long ago. The pendulum persisted in its relentless ticking, measuring moments that may have never transpired, in a resonance that seemed to harbor secrets only it comprehended. Sipping the tea, its flavor a familiar embrace, I surrendered to the embrace of the unfamiliar dwelling. Beyond the mist-shrouded windows, the garden vanished into a realm of dreams, blurring the boundaries between reality and illusion. And in that moment, I knew that here, in this house of enigmas, I had found a sanctuary that awaited my arrival. A haven where time stood still and dreams intertwined with the tapestry of existence. Story 24. The rain softly tapped on the windows of the bar, creating a soothing melody that harmonized with the gentle clinks of cups and the hushed conversations of the remaining patrons. I sat at the bar, observing the flickering reflections of dim lights dancing on the polished surface of the dark wood. Jack, the bartender, meticulously polished glasses with a slow and almost hypnotic rhythm. That evening, there was a new aura about him, a depth in his gaze that had eluded me on my previous visits. His dark eyes seemed to harbor profound thoughts as he prepared my usual lavender tea. While his hands moved with their customary precision, a subtle tremor betrayed him as he placed the cup before me. The fragrant scent of lavender mingled in the air with the aroma of coffee and the aged wood that infused the place. Jack's eyes darted discreetly towards a lone figure seated in the far corner of the bar, blending into the shadows like a part of the furniture. With deliberate movements, Jack approached to refill my cup. His breathing was controlled, yet an underlying tension colored his voice when he inquired if I desired anything more. In that moment, a disconcerting detail caught my eye. A faint reddish stain marred the cuff of his otherwise pristine white shirt, barely visible in the dim ambience of the bar. Time drifted slowly as the rain continued its steady, hypnotic cadence outside. Patrons trickled out, leaving behind vacant seats and abandoned cups. Only the enigmatic figure in the corner remained, an enigmatic sentinel awaiting something or someone. Jack began meticulously organizing the bar counter, his movements increasingly meticulous, a hint of unease creeping into his otherwise composed demeanor. The pendulum clock ticked away the hours, each beat punctuating the passage of time. It was then that I spied another anomaly. Nestled among the bottles under the counter, a weathered notebook with a tattered cover lay hidden from view. When Jack momentarily stepped away to attend to the final customer, my gaze fell upon the yellowed pages of the notebook. The handwriting, minuscule and precise, chronicled names, dates, and places in meticulous order. Yet it was the final pages that piqued my curiosity. Cryptic notations, nonsensical numbers, and meticulously drawn symbols adorned the worn sheets. The sound of footsteps drew my attention upward. The mysterious figure had at last stirred from their secluded table, making their way towards the exit. As they passed the counter, a silent exchange laden with tension transpired between them and Jack, a fleeting moment pregnant with unspoken secrets. The bartender nodded imperceptibly, and the stranger vanished into the rain-drenched night. Jack resumed his tasks, but a subtle shift had occurred in his demeanor. His hands, typically steady, now trembled ever so slightly as he stowed away the glasses. His gaze appeared distant, lost in contemplation, grappling with memories perhaps best left forgotten. As I prepared to depart, Jack halted me with a gentle gesture. "You know," his voice barely above a whisper, "there are things a bartender witnesses and hears, secrets that ought to remain shrouded within these walls. Yet sometimes the burden of these truths becomes too weighty to bear alone." He paused, deliberating his next words. I turned towards him, the flickering lamplight casting dancing shadows across his fatigued visage. The notebook lingered, a silent sentinel amidst the bottles, guarding untold secrets. Jack offered a weary smile, devoid of mirth. "Return tomorrow," he murmured. "Perhaps I shall share a tale, or maybe not." I stepped into the night, the rain still descending softly. Through the bar's window, I observed Jack resuming his meticulous routine, every action precise and methodical. However, now I understood that beneath those daily motions lay a deeper enigma, a mystery that might forever elude me. The lights of the bar dimmed as I departed, allowing darkness to enfold the enigmatic secrets veiled within those walls. I pondered how many similar stories lay concealed beneath bar counters, how many other silent custodians like Jack guarded secrets too heavy to unveil. The answer, however, eluded me, obscured by the comforting patter of rain persisting in the starless night. Story 25. The autumn breeze whispered secrets through the rustling leaves as my car glided down the winding country road. The sky above was a canvas of warm hues, painted by the setting sun in shades of orange and purple, casting a magical glow over the world. The GPS had long given up its guidance, but I felt no sense of urgency, for I believed I knew these lands like the back of my hand. Or so I thought. The road meandered gently, flanked by hills adorned with vineyards, stripped of their summer greenery. The crackling air seeping through the open window carried the earthy fragrance of damp soil and fallen leaves, a symphony of scents that whispered tales of the season's change. In that fleeting moment, time itself seemed to stretch, inviting me to linger in the present. A weathered wooden sign beckoned me to turn right, its weathered facade hinting at untold stories of travelers past. And that's when the ordinary began to dissolve into the extraordinary. This path, unfamiliar to my mental map, unfurled like a secret waiting to be discovered. I paused, the elongating shadows casting enchanting patterns that danced among the trees lining the road. Beneath my wheels, the road felt unnaturally smooth, devoid of the usual imperfections that marked forgotten country lanes. Not a single pothole marred its surface, only a pristine ribbon of asphalt disappearing into the misty twilight. Leaves twirled lazily in the air, as if time itself had slowed down in this hidden sanctuary. I pressed on, my pace leisurely, my curiosity piqued by the shifting landscape. The trees here bore the weight of centuries, their gnarled branches weaving a natural canopy above me. Light flickered in the distance, reminiscent of fireflies dancing out of season, their ephemeral glow teasing the edges of my vision. The silence enveloped me, broken only by the soft hum of the engine and the rustle of leaves caressed by the wind. As I advanced, subtle transformations unfolded before my eyes. The road's boundaries blurred, as if painted by an unseen artist. Shadows deepened, not menacingly, but with a gentle softness that hinted at a reality in flux. And then a glimmer of the extraordinary. An ancient brass mailbox stood sentinel by the roadside. Its intricate compass rose gleaming in the fading light. No name adorned it, no address marked its place, only a silent invitation to unravel its mystery. As my fingers brushed its cool surface, a faint warmth radiated from the metal, a subtle caress against the evening chill. The road continued its meandering path, revealing more wonders with each passing mile. Small stones at the roadside emitted a soft, ethereal glow, as if imbued with a light of their own. Yet, upon closer inspection, the luminescence seemed to emanate from within, a secret light pulsing from the heart of the earth. Above me, the sky wore a hue beyond description, a color belonging solely to this forgotten realm. Stars timidly emerged, their ancient light casting a surreal glow upon the world below. Time seemed to warp and weave, blurring the boundaries between past and present, between reality and dream. After what felt like both an eternity and a mere heartbeat, the road crested a hill, revealing a circular clearing paved with weathered stones. At its heart stood an old lamppost, its iron frame bathed in a soft, inviting light. I halted, stepping out into a world hushed in anticipation, where even time held its breath in reverence. From this vantage point, I glimpsed the distant lights of the city I had left behind, their glow a mere echo of a reality now distant. The road behind me had transformed, its modern asphalt replaced by centuries-old cobblestones worn smooth by the passage of countless souls. Yet I knew with certainty that just moments ago, it had been a different path altogether. Returning to my car, I retrieved a road map from the glove compartment, its yellowed pages a guide through the unknown. Under the lamppost's gentle glow, I traced the invisible path I had taken, only to find it absent from the map's familiar folds. It was as if I had traversed a realm existing solely in the realm of dreams, a world untouched by the passage of time. As I folded the map, a sudden gust of wind caused it to quiver in my grasp. For a fleeting instant, golden lines shimmered upon its surface, tracing a path that glowed faintly before fading into obscurity. I blinked, and the vision vanished, leaving only a whisper of the extraordinary in its wake. I lingered in that surreal clearing, embracing the tranquility that enveloped me like a warm embrace. When the moment to depart finally arrived, I noticed the lamppost had extinguished its light, plunging the road ahead into darkness. Yet, an unspoken assurance tugged at my heart, guiding me towards home. As I drove back towards the city, I stole glances in the rearview mirror, watching as the lamppost reignited, its glow diminishing with each passing mile. The final glimpse revealed a golden haze dancing in the air, as if a sprinkle of stardust adorned the road, invisible to all but the intrepid traveler. In the days that followed, I sought in vain to rediscover that hidden road, its mysteries calling out to me in whispers carried by the wind. I wandered for hours amidst the countryside, tracing every fork, exploring every path. Yet that enchanted road, with its solitary lamppost and luminous stones, remained elusive, a dream slipping through my fingers upon waking. Only a faint golden etching upon my old map bore witness to my journey, visible only when touched by a certain light, a silent reminder of a realm waiting to be rediscovered, a secret yearning to be unveiled in the quiet of the night. Story 26 night had draped the aged countryside abode in a cloak of profound serenity. Nestled in my cherished armchair beside the hearth, I observed the shadows waltz on the walls as the flames leisurely devoured the logs. The cozy warmth enveloped me like a snug quilt, while beyond, the autumn breeze tenderly brushed the tree leaves. Amid this moment of utter tranquility, a peculiar sound caught my attention. A crystalline, childlike laughter wafted from the upper floor of the house, a laughter akin to silver bells. I paused, allowing the sound to intertwine with the crackling of the fire. There was an innocence to it, a joyous laughter, almost melodic. Yet in my solitary abode of over 2 decades, children had never graced these halls. Intrigue began to trickle through me like a serene stream, gently replacing the drowsiness that had nearly overtaken me. With deliberate movements, I rose from the armchair, relishing the sensation as my feet met the ancient Persian rug. The floorboards murmured softly beneath my steps as I made my way towards the staircase. The glow from the candles flickering in the living room cast a welcoming ambience, projecting my shadow on the walls in a silent ballet. Ascending the stairs, I noticed the air growing cooler. Not a harsh chill, but a gentle caress on the skin, akin to the breeze near the ocean. The laughter echoed once more, closer this time, emanating from the guest room. A room seldom used, adorned with antique furniture cloaked in white sheets that swayed as if stirred by an unseen breath. The door stood slightly ajar, allowing a silvery light to seep through, unlike any other light in the house. Not moonlight, too warm for that, nor the glow of electric lamps. It was a light of a different nature, pulsating softly, akin to a quiet heartbeat. With a familiar creak, I pushed open the door, revealing the room bathed in that ethereal luminescence. The draped furniture conjured gentle, reassuring shapes, resembling clouds in a clear sky. And there, perched on the windowsill, I beheld a sight that stole my breath. Not a distinct figure, but a play of light and shadow that seemed to mimic a child. The laughter rang out again, clearly originating from that luminous entity. No fear gripped me, only a profound sense of awe. The light child toyed with the rays it emitted, casting luminous patterns on the walls, as if painting with light itself. I approached cautiously, and with each step, the room's temperature oscillated between cool and warm, like waves lapping at the shore. Drawing near, I discerned a familiarity in the figure. In its fluid movements, I recognized echoes of the gestures I once made as a child, playing alone in my room. A poignant realization washed over me. That crystalline, pure laughter was my own childhood laughter. Time seemed to stretch as I observed this surreal spectacle. The light child continued its wordless play, punctuated by that melodious laughter, now resonating like a reverberation from bygone days. I refrained from speaking or disrupting, fearing to shatter the spell of peace and nostalgia. Gradually, the silvery light dimmed, akin to the sun sinking on a wintry eve. The child's form grew increasingly ethereal until only a faint glow lingered. The final laughter I heard was a mere whisper, a tender farewell before dissolving into darkness. I lingered in the room for what felt like an eternity, enveloped in a serene silence. The draped furniture stilled, the air returned to its usual temperature. Yet something had shifted. The guest room, once a repository of dusty memories, now held a precious enigma. Retreating to my armchair by the hearth where the fire smoldered gently, I sank into the cushions. It dawned on me that I would never truly unravel the events of that night. Was it a dream? A recollection? Or perchance, a profound message from the past, embodied through a child's laughter in the shadows? Since that night, whenever I passed by the guest room, I paused to listen. On the stillest nights, I catch the faint echo of that crystalline laughter, a tender lullaby guiding me towards slumber. And with a smile, I allow the mystery to endure, a sweet secret shared between myself and the child who laughs in the dark. Story 27. In the softening glow of twilight, the wooden floor murmured beneath my steps as I wandered down the hallway of Grandma's house. Each creak and groan seemed to carry a hidden tale, a secret longing to be heard. The air held the sweet fragrance of lavender mingled with the aged essence of the wooden walls, a comforting aroma that wove through the memories of summers long past. But on this particular evening, a subtle shift stirred the familiar stillness. Pausing before the weathered door to the attic, a detail caught my eye, beckoning me closer. The once pristine white paint now bore intricate marks, as if whispers from another realm had been etched into its surface. Tracing the patterns with my fingertips, I felt the ghostly presence of intentional design. Some scratches ran deep, while others barely kissed the wood, creating a mysterious mosaic of forgotten messages. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting elongated shadows through the windows, a hushed symphony of old house sounds enveloped me. The grandfather clock below chimed solemnly, accompanied by the gentle rustle of wind-kissed leaves outside. A chill danced down my spine, elongating the hallway and deepening the shadows that swayed like silent dancers. With a trembling hand, I retrieved the heavy brass key hanging on the wall. Its intricate floral engravings, worn by time, whispered of bygone secrets. Inserting the key into the lock, a faint resistance met my touch, as if the door itself hesitated to reveal its mysteries. With a hesitant turn, a soft exhale, like a ghostly breath, brushed against my senses from beyond the threshold. In the dim light, I activated my phone's flashlight, illuminating the door's surface. The scratches coalesced into a mesmerizing spiral, drawing my gaze toward a cluster of delicately etched numbers at its center. A memory flickered to life, of Grandma's elusive diary brimming with ancestral enigmas, hidden within these very walls. The wind outside crescendoed, a haunting melody that seemed to beckon me closer to the enigmatic door. Shadows swirled in a spectral dance, whispering of untold secrets waiting to be unveiled. A primal instinct urged caution, a legacy of wisdom passed down through generations of resilient women. Reluctantly, I stepped away, the scratching of unseen hands echoing faintly from the attic. A sense of reverence stayed my hand from further exploration, a silent pact with the echoes of the past. The numbers lingered in my mind, a cryptic code yearning to be deciphered. That night, beneath the canopy of darkness, I transcribed the numbers into my notebook, a promise to unravel their meaning. But with the dawn's light, the attic door stood innocuous, devoid of the spectral markings that had captivated me. Only the brass key glinted with a knowing gleam, a silent guardian of untold truths. On subsequent visits to Grandma's house, I found myself drawn back to the attic door, where shadows seemed to whisper of forgotten legacies. The scratches, like ethereal sigils, sometimes reappeared in the twilight, hinting at a world just beyond reach. The ghostly exhale, a reminder of mysteries left unspoken, lingered in the silence. And so, the attic door remained a threshold to the unknown, a testament to the enduring secrets woven within the tapestry of time. Some enigmas, perhaps, are meant to be cherished in the sacred hush of an ancient house, safeguarded by the quiet guardians who heed its whispered truths. Story 28. The evening held a unique flavor, that of autumn seeping into your very essence and whispering promises of endless nights. Nestled in the cozy armchair of my study, I savored the gentle touch of the wind outside, a caress to the leaves that birthed a natural serenade. Amidst this tranquil moment, a subtle noise stirred from the depths of the basement, akin to the soft rustle of aged paper. Initially, I dismissed it as the usual settling of the house, the quiet murmurs every structure utters as night approaches. Intrigued rather than alarmed, I rose from my seat. The warm glow from the desk lamp enveloped me in a golden embrace as I made my way to the basement door. The wooden steps beneath my weight murmured ancient tales, secrets whispered to those who tread upon them. With each descent, the air grew cooler, carrying whispers of damp earth and forsaken tales bound in forgotten books. Inside the basement, shadows waltzed along the walls to the flickering rhythm of the light bulb. A space familiar yet that evening, tinged with an unfamiliar aura. My gaze fixated on a detail previously unnoticed, a door nestled in the far corner where light struggled to touch. A plain, dark wooden door, unadorned and devoid of ostentation. Strangely absent from my memory, despite the countless hours spent organizing in that basement, the brass handle gleamed unnaturally bright, as though polished with care. Stepping closer, the floor beneath me pulsed with a life of its own, sending shivers up my spine. As my fingertips grazed the weathered wood, ancient and rough beneath my touch, the door seemed to quiver, almost sentient. Silence thickened in the basement, interrupted solely by the echo of my heartbeat. Tentatively, I grasped the handle. Surprisingly warm against the chill enveloping it, the handle turned effortlessly, revealing a sight beyond belief. Instead of a wall or another room, a thin silvery mist undulated, swayed by an unseen hand. Emitting a gentle hypnotic light, the mist beckoned, not with fear but with a serene allure, akin to a fading dream upon waking. A distant melody, delicate and ethereal, drifted from within, accompanied by a sweet fragrance of spring blooms and freshly brewed tea. Standing on the threshold, torn between curiosity and caution, the mist danced, morphing into fleeting shapes that eluded clear definition. Familiar faces flickered, foreign landscapes unfolded before vanishing, like peering through a veil that separated reality from the enigmatic depths beyond. Retreating, I closed the door gently. The click of the lock broke the enchantment, ushering back the familiar sounds of the house, the clock's steady tick, the trees' whispering leaves, a distant dog's bark. Ascending the stairs, a profound sense of discovery lingered. In the days that ensued, my visits to the basement revealed no trace of the door, only a steadfast brick wall. Yet, on the quietest nights, when reality blurs with slumber, the distant melody lingers, prompting thoughts of the hidden door, awaiting another seeker. Some doors unveil themselves only in fleeting moments, when time and space intertwine in incomprehensible ways. Perhaps it is better so. The mystery of the basement door taught me that not all mysteries beg unraveling, and some secrets shine brightest when veiled, like dreams brushing against reality before fading into the mist of memory. Story 29. The whisper of paper sliding through my fingertips reverberated in the quiet of the attic. The dwindling sunlight filtered through a small, dusty window, casting shimmering beams of gold that pirouetted in the tranquil air. Amidst the ancient family documents, my eyes alighted on a weathered envelope, sealed with faded crimson wax. My name, elegantly inscribed on the coarse surface, bore a script unfamiliar to me. Sinking into a worn wooden chair that groaned beneath me, the fragrance of aged tomes and seasoned timber enveloped me, while a gentle breeze stirred the leaves of the towering tree outside. The envelope held a weight beyond its physical presence, as if harboring secrets beyond mere words. With delicate care, I broke the seal, the crackling of the wax reverberating in the stillness. Within lay several fragile pages, as delicate as gossamer, adorned with that same graceful script. The date atop the parchment harkened back 50 years, a time before my own existence. The opening words seized my attention instantly. My dear future grandchild. As I delved into the letter, the ambient light in the room gradually dimmed, yet I made no move to illuminate the space. The words upon the page seemed to emanate a subtle glow, illuminating the dimness. The missive unraveled the narrative of a woman, my grandmother, whom I had never known. She spoke of a unique gift that coursed through our lineage, one that manifested rarely and under specific celestial conditions. She recounted how, under certain nights of a full moon and a northward wind, certain family members could glimpse beyond the veil of time, not with clarity, but through ephemeral sensations and hazy visions, akin to reflections upon rippling waters. My grandmother chronicled her foretelling of my existence, of this very moment in the attic, where I sat engrossed in her letter. A chill traversed my spine as I continued to read. Her words grew intimate, personal, disclosing her attempts to safeguard the family, to navigate them through trials with the aid of this gift. But with each vision came a toll, a diminishment of her essence, she divulged. In the attic's hush, time appeared to halt. Shadows elongated upon the walls, swirling with the memories enshrined in those time-worn pages. The missive delineated events of my past, present, and future, some recognized, others yet to unfold. With each passage, the handwriting subtly shifted, wavering as if each word demanded greater effort. The final page posed the greatest challenge to decipher. My grandmother inscribed a pivotal juncture I would confront, a moment when the gift would awaken within me. Lifting my gaze to the window, the darkened sky revealed the emergence of the full moon through veiled clouds. A gust of wind rattled the panes, carrying the scent of impending rain. Returning to the last page, her parting words gleamed with a freshness as if just penned. "When you hear the call," the letter concluded, "you will discern your path. The gift is not a burden but a legacy. As I have done for you, you shall script a letter unsent, yet destined to reach its recipient when the stars align." Tenderly, I folded the pages, nestling them within the envelope. The wind now surged, the floorboards groaning beneath the force. Rising from the chair, I drifted towards the window. My reflection upon the glass seemed to merge with the moon's image, crafting a mirage that gave me pause. Fleetingly, I glimpsed another figure in the reflection, a gentle, elderly woman, her smile fleeting. Blinking, she vanished. Yet, upon the desk near the window, where emptiness reigned before, lay a blank sheet of paper and a pen. Resettling at the desk, the silvery moonlight bathed the room as the northern wind continued its whisper. I grasped the pen, commencing to inscribe, "My dear future grandchild." Story 30. In my snug little apartment, where cream-colored walls embrace me and creaking hardwood floors greet my bare feet, a peculiar mystery dwells. As I prepared to extinguish the light one night, my gaze fell upon the wardrobe door, slightly ajar. Odd, for I distinctly remembered securing it before retiring to bed. That was 3 weeks ago, and since that night, a curious routine has unfolded. Each evening, without fail, I ensure the wardrobe door is tightly closed, sometimes even verifying the latch twice over. Yet, come the witching hours when sleep holds me in its gentle grasp, I find it ajar, just a crack. Initially, I dismissed it as mere fancy, or perhaps a whispering draft from the aging heating system. The soft murmur of air through the vents could easily nudge a door not properly fastened. But then, subtle shifts caught my attention, stirring doubts within me. In the hushed moments betwixt midnight and dawn, faint sounds reach me from within the wardrobe. Not menacing noises, but rather akin to the gentle rustle of fabric or the way autumn leaves caress a window pane with their whispers. It's a melody of softness, a lullaby woven from sighs and silk. My garments remain undisturbed, hanging in pristine order as I left them. Yet at times when I unveil the door at daybreak, a new fragrance greets me. A scent reminiscent of rain-kissed gardens and distant echoes of my grandmother's abode. A blend of lavender and an elusive essence I cannot quite name. Thus I find myself sitting up at night, observing the door bathed in the pale moon's glow seeping through my curtains. Shadows dance, playing tricks on my eyes, rendering the darkness within the wardrobe deeper, more expansive than its physical confines permit. At times I fancy glimpsing movement in that darkness, akin to ripples on a midnight pond. One serene night, a novel discovery unfolded before me. A soft, nearly imperceptible glow emanating from the crack beneath the door. Not the harsh blue of gadgets or the amber of street lamps, but a hue akin to starlight, silvery, ancient, and oddly warm. It pulsed gently, echoing the rhythm of my breath, akin to a heartbeat. In response, I began leaving trinkets near the wardrobe, a bloom from my morning stroll, a feather discovered on my windowsill, a polished stone that beckoned me. By morn they'd be rearranged, meticulously placed with such intention that chance could not be the architect. Once I left a blank sheet of paper, only to discover at dawn intricate frost-like patterns adorning it, fading as daylight broke. Strangely, fear eludes me. While caution may be warranted, there's a solace in these nightly phenomena. It's as though the wardrobe harbors a gentle secret, an ancient wisdom choosing to coexist in my sanctuary. The sounds and scents that emerge have evolved into a familiar lullaby, easing me into a tranquil slumber deeper than any before. Changes have seeped into my existence since this enigma unfurled. My dreams are vivid, painted with images of boundless libraries with shelves that stretch endlessly, gardens blooming beneath starlight, and portals leading to realms beyond reason. Upon waking, I carry remnants of these dreams like precious gems in my pocket, revitalized. I ponder if the wardrobe transcends mere passage, if it stands sentinel, safeguarding my nights. This notion offers solace rather than alarm. Isn't there a magic in acknowledging that mysteries endure, even in our most intimate domains? I've shared not a word of this with guests, few though they may be. It seems a silent accord between me and the gentle presence that graces my nights. In their presence, the wardrobe remains firmly shut, its enigmas clasped tight like a shared confidence. Last eve, I penned a note of gratitude before retiring. At daybreak, in lieu of my message, a solitary flower unknown to me awaited, petals akin to moonlight, exuding a fragrance that evokes childhood reveries. I pressed it within my journal's pages, a keepsake of this bewitching and exquisite mystery woven into my days. Each night, I close the wardrobe door, aware it will yield before dawn. Yet now, a smile graces my lips, akin to sharing a secret with an old friend. Some may dub it haunting, yet I prefer to deem it as being chosen, selected to partake in something wondrous and inexplicable, a reminder that reality harbors more magic than we fathom. Thus I continue my nocturnal ritual, knowing that as sleep beckons, the door shall yield just a crack, welcoming whatever gentle magic seeks entry. Amid a world often clamorous and certain, finding solace in a mystery that whispers instead of clamors, that invokes wonder rather than dread, is a balm for the soul. Story 31. The grandfather clock in my study signaled midnight with its resonant chimes, filling the room with a deep, soothing melody. Each reverberation created ripples of sound that danced through the stillness, much like echoes on a tranquil pond. I lounged in my weathered leather armchair, a beloved old book cradled in my lap, while the gentle patter of rain against the window panes provided a comforting backdrop. The house murmured softly around me, its ancient timber structure settling into the hush of the night. My gaze drifted towards the hallway door, its dark wood frame illuminated by the warm, amber glow of my reading lamp. There was an inexplicable shift in the air tonight, a subtle change that eluded my understanding. Perhaps it was the way the brass handle caught the light, or the altered appearance of the wood grain that puzzled me. Despite residing in this house for 15 years, this door now bore a strange air of unfamiliarity. I stood up, carefully marking my place in the book with a delicate silk ribbon. The floor felt cool beneath my slippered feet as I made my way towards the door. With each step, the temperature seemed to drop, as if a touch of winter had crept into this corner of my abode. My hand reached for the handle, and to my surprise, it exuded an unexpected warmth, starkly contrasting the chill in the air. The door swung open effortlessly, revealing the familiar hallway beyond. Everything looked as it should, the faded wallpaper, the worn carpet runner, the familiar collection of framed photographs adorning the walls. I closed the door, chiding myself for letting my imagination run wild. Perhaps my recent indulgence in mystery novels had stirred up these unfounded thoughts. That night, my dreams were filled with doors. They materialized in improbable settings, blooming amidst gardens, hovering in the sky, standing solitary on deserted beaches. Each door bore the same brass handle as the one in my hallway, radiating warmth despite their incongruous surroundings. As morning light filtered into the room, I went about my daily routine, hardly sparing a glance for the hallway door as I passed by. It wasn't until dusk descended, painting the sky in hues of twilight, that I noticed a peculiar alteration. The door appeared lighter in color, as though it had aged decades overnight. The brass handle had acquired a patina that had not been present before. Intrigued, I approached the door once more, this time scrutinizing it with a photographer's keen eye. Yes, the wood had certainly changed, now lighter, with a distinctive grain pattern that was unfamiliar to me. The hinges, once black as iron, now gleamed with a burnished copper hue. Yet, as I opened the door, the hallway remained unchanged. Night after night, the door underwent subtle metamorphoses. Its appearance fluctuated between older and newer, the handle shifting slightly, and the frame gaining or losing intricate carvings. I began meticulously documenting each change in a journal, accompanied by detailed sketches and descriptions. The door never altered when under my watchful gaze. The transformations only occurred during the dead of night, when the house lay shrouded in silence, and my attention wandered elsewhere. One evening, driven by curiosity, I resolved to stay awake and monitor the door throughout the night. I positioned my armchair directly facing it, brewed a pot of robust tea, and settled in for my vigil. The grandfather clock ticked away the hours as I observed, my eyelids growing heavy, but my resolve unyielding. At precisely 3:17 a.m., as per my watch, the lights in the study flickered momentarily. In that fleeting darkness, a subtle shift in the room's air pressure was palpable. When the light steadied, the door had transformed once more. The warm oak was now a lustrous mahogany, adorned with delicate silver inlays that seemed to dance when viewed peripherally. Intrigued, I rose from my chair, drawn to the new embellishments. My hand hesitated as it neared the handle, now fashioned from carved crystal rather than brass. A faint hum resonated in the air around the door, akin to the lingering echo of a struck bell. That's when I noticed a peculiar absence. The door bore no keyhole, never had one in any of its iterations. Yet each morning when I passed through, a keyhole had always been present just beneath the handle. I was certain of this. The following day, I combed through my journal entries, searching for any reference to the keyhole. To my surprise, there were none. Had I overlooked such a fundamental detail, or was something more enigmatic at play? The question gnawed at my thoughts, akin to a half-remembered word on the tip of the tongue. Now each evening as I sit in my study, I ponder the door and its nightly transformations. At times I catch glimpses of other hallways beyond, with differing carpets, wallpapers, and photographs. Yet, upon opening the door, it always reveals my own hallway. I contemplated rearranging the photographs to confirm the authenticity of my surroundings. However, a lingering intuition cautioned me against delving too deeply into the unknown spaces that exist between our perceptions and reality. The door continues to change, each night unveiling a new iteration. I have grown accustomed to its silent metamorphosis, even developing a fondness for its mysterious alterations. Sometimes I ponder whether it is truly the door that transforms, or if my perception of it evolves with each viewing. Perhaps both are true, or perhaps neither. What remains certain is my anticipation each midnight when the grandfather clock tolls and the rain whispers against the windows. I eagerly await the unveiling of the door's latest form and the secrets it may choose to disclose or conceal in the tranquil hours preceding dawn. Story 32. The aged farmhouse exuded a peculiar fragrance, a blend of dust and ancient timber. Sunlight from the late afternoon filtered through the windows, painting elongated shadows across the stone floors. Amidst the task of rearranging furniture, my attention was snagged by a peculiar sight on the wall. A subtle draft of air and a slender crack, akin to the edge of a concealed entrance, caught my eye. Tracing my fingers along the surface, I discerned a nuanced variance in texture. The wallpaper, worn and weathered by time, bore an almost imperceptible seam. The dwelling had always communicated with me in its own silent language. The gentle groans of the floorboards, the delicate rustle of branches against the glass panes, but this moment felt unique. It felt like an unspoken beckoning. As the evening descended, enveloping the house in a warm amber hue, I felt an irresistible pull back to that wall. The shifting light unveiled an unnoticed detail, a discrepancy in the wallpaper pattern, forming a precise rectangle approximately 7 feet tall. My heart steadied its rhythm as I probed different areas, recollecting tales of hidden mechanisms and clandestine passages. Initially, a faint sound, a soft click, almost imperceptible yet undeniable, reached my ears. Subsequently, beneath my touch, the wall yielded slightly. A refreshing breath of air brushed against my skin as the concealed door eased open, revealing an abyss of darkness beyond. The hinges, though aged, moved noiselessly, as if anticipating this very moment. Retrieving my flashlight, its golden beam illuminated the enigmatic space, a narrow corridor, adorned with dark wooden panels that seemed to consume the light. A peculiar sweetness lingered in the air, reminiscent of dried blossoms and aged paper. Each step I took was deliberate and cautious, the ancient wooden floor underfoot remaining steadfast despite its age. The corridor extended roughly 20 feet before unveiling a chamber that halted me in awe. Though not expansive, it exuded a profound sense of vastness in its tranquility. Dust particles pirouetted in the flashlight's glow, while built-in shelves adorned the walls. Yet what seized my attention were the letters, numerous and neatly arranged on a petite writing desk at the room's heart. Sealed and untouched, their envelopes had yellowed with age, inscribed with names unfamiliar to me. Adjacent to them lay an antique fountain pen, its silver nib tarnished yet elegant, along with an inkwell long dried up. The scene appeared suspended in time, as though the individual who last occupied this space had momentarily stepped away, intending to return. Nestled in a corner was an antiquated armchair, its fabric faded yet resplendent in color, positioned beside a small table bearing a brass reading lamp. Every item was veiled in a fine layer of dust, softening contours and muting hues, bestowing an ethereal quality upon the setting. The chamber felt not like a hidden recess, but rather a meticulously preserved memory. Enveloped by the armchair's embrace, I found myself seated. The air was tranquil, not stagnant. The room seemed to pulsate with a life of its own. As I lingered there, intricate details gradually unveiled themselves. Faded photographs in modest frames on the walls, reading glasses neatly folded on a shelf, a half-empty teacup with the liquid long evaporated, leaving a delicate ring in the porcelain vessel's base. Time within this room ebbed differently. The customary sounds of the dwelling, the settling of beams, the whisper of the wind through crevices, felt distant and muffled. Instead, there existed a profound silence, harboring enigmas just beyond my comprehension. I found myself pondering the individual who fashioned this haven, who sat in this very chair and penned letters never dispatched. As night deepened its embrace, I recognized the need to depart, yet an unseen force detained me. The room harbored a narrative, but it withheld its secrets, unveiling them gradually. Within the flashlight's glow, I noticed an object previously overlooked, a diminutive book, bound in supple leather, nestled amidst 2 larger volumes on a shelf. However, when I endeavored to pinpoint its initial placement, the memory eluded me. I now frequent the chamber, at times spending hours ensconced in that aged armchair. The letters remain sealed. It feels improper to infringe upon their privacy. Occasionally, when the light is just so, I perceive fleeting inscriptions through the thin envelopes, yet the words perpetually shift and morph before I can decipher them. The room has transformed into my sanctuary, where time flows akin to honey and enigmas do not clamor for resolution. Yet, an enigma lingers, one I have yet to unravel. With each return, minor alterations manifest. A book askew, the reading glasses relocated, the dust pattern on the writing desk subtly changed. I assure myself it is mere fancy, that recollections prove fallible. However, occasionally, when seated quietly in that armchair, I swear I discern the faint scratch of a pen against paper, so delicate it could be mistaken for the dwelling's settling, or perhaps something beyond. Story 33. In the hush of the night, the soft patter of my footsteps reverberated through the ancient wooden corridor. Each step I took caused the floorboards to murmur beneath me, harmonizing with the gentle rhythm of raindrops tapping against the window panes. A sweet, nostalgic fragrance lingered in the air, a blend of aged timber and weathered paper, wrapping around me like a comforting shroud. I halted in front of the door at the hallway's end, the entrance to a room I had kept closed off for months. The lock gleamed faintly in the dim glow of the wall-mounted lamps, almost beckoning me with its subtle allure. I vividly recalled securing the door last, methodically turning the key thrice and testing the handle. It was a ritual of assurance I always performed. Yet on this particular night, an unfamiliar aura hung in the air. The space surrounding the door felt colder, and a delicate film of dust had settled on the brass handle, forming intricate patterns that captured my attention. Stepping closer, I observed the dust's formation of concentric circles, as though an unseen hand had traced mystical designs. Upon touching the wooden door, I detected a faint warmth seeping through, a sensation peculiar for a room devoid of warmth. Placing my palm against the surface, I marveled at the anomaly. Pressing my ear against the door, I strained to catch any sound within the profound stillness. Amidst the quietude, a distant, rhythmic breathing seemed to drift through, akin to someone in deep slumber. Retrieving the key from my robe's pocket, I noticed an unusual warmth emanating from its metal surface. With deliberate care, I inserted the key into the lock, aiming to minimize any noise. The key slid in smoothly, yet when I attempted to turn it, a resistance met my efforts. A surge of anticipation, rather than fear, quickened my heartbeat. Attempting to turn the key in the opposite direction, it yielded with unexpected ease, emitting a delicate click. As the door swung open, a warm, fragrant breeze wafted out, reminiscent of freshly brewed vanilla tea. Moonlight filtered through the sheer curtains, suffusing the room in a silvered luminescence. Everything appeared familiar, yet subtly altered. The books on the shelves seemed arranged in novel configurations, forming intricate patterns previously unseen. The antique armchair stood slightly askew near the window, accompanied by an empty porcelain cup on the adjacent table, an item I didn't recall placing there. Drawing nearer to the mahogany desk, my fingertips grazed its polished surface, noting the uneven distribution of dust, as though phantom words had been inscribed and then erased. Beside the inkwell lay a weathered sheet of paper, bearing a single sentence inscribed in a script akin to my own, though foreign to my memory. The words read, "Time flows differently here." As I absorbed the cryptic message, I sensed my breath synchronizing with the ethereal movement of the curtains, swaying languidly without a breath of wind. The room's silence felt alive, pulsating with inaudible whispers that tantalized the senses. Sinking into the plush velvet of the armchair, I beheld the room's reflection in the window, momentarily catching a blurred figure flitting in the shadows behind me. Yet, upon turning, only the moon's shimmering radiance greeted my gaze. For a fleeting moment, I shut my eyes, surrendering to the tranquil hush enveloping me. Upon reopening them, a subtle shift had occurred in the room, as if the very essence of each object had subtly rearranged itself. The once cool cup now radiated warmth, a wisp of steam coiling upward. Rising from the armchair, I bore the weight of the enigma cloaking the room. As I traversed back towards the door, my footfalls echoed noiselessly on the wooden floor. Pausing at the threshold, I cast a final glance over my shoulder. The room exhaled softly, akin to a slumbering entity. With a gentle hand, I closed the door, the click of the lock resonating like a lullaby in the corridor's silence. Since that fateful night, whenever I pass by the door, a faint aroma of vanilla tea dances past my senses, accompanied by the whisper of pages turning on unseen currents. Though I have refrained from unlocking the door anew, I sense the room harbors its clandestine existence, safeguarding mysteries best left undisturbed in their silent repose. Story 34. The night was shrouded in a deep silence, interrupted only by the rhythmic symphony of the train wheels gliding along the tracks. Nestled in the final carriage, I found myself cocooned in a soft, gentle glow emanating from the delicate fixtures above. The air held a gentle warmth, and the steady movement of the train cast a spell of hypnotic tranquility. Peering through the window, I watched as the mist outside swirled lazily in the moonlit darkness, morphing into ephemeral shapes that dissolved into the night. In that moment, I believed myself to be the sole inhabitant of the carriage, enveloped in solitude, or so I had thought. My reflection in the window merged seamlessly with the obsidian night beyond, conjuring an eerie illusion of a spectral presence on the other side. The rhythmic cadence of the wheels bore a soothing quality, akin to a mechanical lullaby beckoning me to slumber. But then, a peculiar anomaly caught my eye within my reflection. A shadow loomed behind me, a figure seated a few rows distant. I could not recall anyone boarding the train, yet there they sat, a silent spectator. The train pressed on through the night, its wheels spinning tales of antiquity in their whispered cadence. With caution, I turned to steal a glance at the enigmatic figure. The carriage was bathed in a golden hue, casting elongated shadows across the vacant seats. The mysterious presence remained still, cloaked in a dark garment, their countenance veiled beneath a wide-brimmed hat. Time seemed to stretch, pregnant with memories not my own. The air grew heavy with a weight of unspoken stories, lingering like a fog. The figure made no movement, uttered no word, existing as an ethereal fixture, intertwined with the very essence of the train. I rose quietly, feigning a need to venture towards the lavatory at the rear of the carriage. Drawing nearer, I discerned that the figure's garment absorbed light, its fabric a void of reflection. An icy chill enveloped the air surrounding them, carrying a subtle fragrance of lavender and aged parchment. As I passed by their seat, a profound stillness gripped the air, as if time itself had paused. The familiar hum of the wheels faded into a distant murmur, as though from a realm beyond. It was then that a disquieting realization dawned upon me. Beneath the cloak, there was no perceptible breath, no hint of life. Reaching the end of the carriage, I hesitated, torn between advancing to the next carriage or retracing my steps. The corridor stretched infinitely, the dim lights weaving mesmerizing patterns upon the floor. When I glanced back, the seat once occupied by the enigmatic figure stood vacant. In its stead lay an aged train ticket, its edges yellowed with the passage of time. Trembling, I retrieved the ticket, its date marking precisely 50 years past, on that very day. The ticket exuded a residual warmth, as though recently held. I returned to my seat, clutching the artifact with trembling fingers. The train continued its nocturnal voyage, the rhythmic melody of the wheels a familiar comfort. Beyond the misted window, shadowy figures seemed to tread alongside the train, silent companions on its enigmatic journey through the night. As weariness descended upon me, I pondered how many others had encountered the mysterious passenger aboard the final train of the night. The ticket remained as the sole tangible evidence of that surreal encounter, yet even it seemed to dissolve into the ephemeral realm, akin to a fading dream upon awakening. The train pressed on, carrying its clandestine secrets and spectral passengers, both seen and unseen. Drifting into slumber, a whisper of lavender caressed my senses, accompanied by the faint echo of footsteps receding down the carriage corridor, fading into the nocturnal abyss. Story 35. In the dim glow of a long day's end, the quiet house enveloped me as I sank into the familiar comfort of the couch. The only sound, a gentle hum from the kitchen, where the refrigerator worked tirelessly. Absent-mindedly, I reached for my phone, the soft light illuminating my face. Just as I settled in, the The phone stirred to life with a soft vibration, like a whisper in the stillness. Curiosity nudged at me, akin to noticing a shadow where it shouldn't be. The evening light seeped through the curtains, painting delicate patterns on the wooden floor, a dance of shadows in the fading day. As the phone persisted in its silent demand for attention, I felt a shift in the air, a thickness that wasn't there before, a presence that wrapped around me like a comforting shroud. Above, the ceiling fan hummed in a steady rhythm, a soothing backdrop to the slowing beat of my heart. My gaze fixated on the vibrating phone, its display reflecting my own identity back at me, a mirror image in the quiet room. Hesitantly, I answered, greeted not by words but by a soft, ethereal static that whispered of secrets carried by the night breeze. The silence that followed was not empty but pregnant with hidden textures, like the hush of the ocean at midnight. Pressing the phone to my ear, the cool touch against my skin sent a shiver down my spine. "Hello," I ventured, my voice a mere murmur, a ripple in the tranquil atmosphere. The response, when it came, echoed like a distant memory, a faint echo of my own voice. The words, though muddled, bore the cadence that was undeniably mine. Entranced, I sank deeper into the cushions, my hand tracing idle patterns on the fabric as if trying to decipher a cryptic message. In the corner, the lamp cast a warm, flickering glow, each breath syncing with its gentle pulse. Outside, the moon played hide and seek with passing clouds, casting fleeting shadows that danced across the walls. The voice on the other end grew clearer, yet distant, like an underwater conversation that teased with fragments of familiarity. References to moments from my past floated in the air, subtly altered, as if viewed through a distorted lens of time. Time itself seemed to warp, each second stretching languidly as the wall clock ticked in a syrupy rhythm. The voice delved into paths untaken, choices unmade, painting a tapestry of what-ifs and maybes. I found myself nodding along, swept up in a current that defied logic, a dreamlike state where reality blurred at the edges. The room's temperature shifted imperceptibly, a gentle reminder of the ever-changing world outside. Fingers tingling where they held the phone, I became acutely aware of the weight of a wedding ring that had never graced my hand. Details in my home whispered of subtle changes, a reality slightly askew from the one I knew. The voice spoke of tomorrow, of morning's secrets yet to unfold, each word a soft revelation, a promise of the unknown. Leaning in, I hung on every syllable, the wind outside harmonizing with the voice on the line, a symphony of nature and self intertwined. Like a river reaching its destination, the conversation ebbed to a close, the voice, my voice, sharing a final, forgotten detail from my childhood. A memory long buried bloomed in my mind, vivid and alive, as if plucked from the depths of time. With the call ended, I sat in the growing darkness, the weight of the phone a tangible presence in my palm. 47 minutes had passed, yet my call history bore no trace of the conversation that had unfolded. Only the lingering warmth of the device and the newfound memory held proof of the surreal experience. Now, as night deepens beyond the window pane, the house breathes in quietude. The refrigerator's hum is a lullaby, a reminder of the passage of time. A distant clock chimes midnight, its melody a gentle nudge to the edges of sleep. My reflection in the glass seems to lag behind, a trick of the mind or a lingering presence from the other side. The phone rests silent on the table, but in the corner of my eye, I catch glimpses of its soft glow. My name, my face beckoning once more, a siren call to a world where echoes of the past meet whispers of the future in the hush of the night. Story 36. The rain softly pattered against the windows of my study, creating a soothing melody that harmonized with the crackling of the fireplace. Nestled in my cherished armchair, I idly gazed at the new addition adorning the wall, an ancient painting portraying an autumn landscape. Unearthed in a quaint antique shop, its warm hues and enigmatic aura drew me in. Despite the golden frame showing signs of age, it glimmered in the flickering firelight, casting playful reflections on the walls. That particular evening, as the storm outside gained momentum, a peculiar sight caught my eye within the painting. The painted leaves appeared to sway ever so slightly, as if brushed by an unseen breeze. Initially, I attributed it to the flickering firelight casting shadows, yet with each passing moment, a subtle difference became apparent. The colors seemed richer, more vibrant than my initial impression. The pathway meandering through the painting, once concealed by trees, now appeared elongated and more sinuous, as if extending beyond the confines of the canvas. Gradually rising from my seat, I drew nearer to the painting. A chill hung in the air around it, starkly contrasting with the warmth of the fire. Running my fingers lightly over the canvas, I encountered an unexpected texture. Smooth, almost silky, unlike the typical roughness of an oil painting. A faint fragrance of damp earth and wet leaves wafted from the frame, so lifelike that it played tricks on my senses. As I scrutinized these perplexing details, movement in the upper corner of the painting seized my attention. Amidst the branches of an ancient tree, something stirred. It wasn't a mere interplay of light and shadow, but a deliberate motion, as if a presence lurked among the painted foliage. My heartbeat quickened, not from fear, but from an escalating curiosity. Stepping back for a better view, I noticed the brushstrokes within the painting altering direction autonomously, crafting new pathways and forms in the landscape. The trees swayed slightly, as if responding to an unseen breeze. Far in the distance, where fog had obscured all before, the outline of a diminutive structure began to materialize. The rain outside murmured softly, echoing the painting's movements in a mysterious harmony. Reclining back into the armchair, I became fully engrossed in the spectacle unfolding before me. The room seemed to expand, as if the painting stretched its boundaries into reality. Throughout the night, the painting continued its gradual metamorphosis. Autumnal hues intensified and dimmed in a mesmerizing rhythm, blending shades hitherto unseen. The distant structure sharpened, a stone house, chimney emitting wisps of smoke, windows aglow with a golden light. I pondered if inhabitants resided in that painted abode, and whether they could perceive me seated in my armchair, observing them through that enchanted window masquerading as a painting. Curiously, the notion didn't unsettle me. Rather, a serene tranquility enveloped me, as if I had stumbled upon a hidden gateway where reality and fantasy intertwined delicately. As the night waned, the painting divulged its secrets with patience. Sometimes I glimpsed figures traversing the path, while at other instances they dissolved into mere shadows among the trees. Each time I tried to focus on these apparitions, they faded gently, akin to dream memories upon waking. With the break of dawn tinting the sky pink, the painting gradually reverted to its original state. The leaves ceased their dance, colors stabilized, and the distant house vanished into the morning mist. Only the lingering scent of damp leaves remained in the room, a sole testament to the nocturnal revelations. Since that night, I spend my evenings in the armchair, watching the painting, waiting in quiet anticipation. At times it unveils its mysteries. On other occasions it remains silent like any ordinary artwork. Yet I am aware that beyond the canvas lies an entire realm, one that stirs only when the world slumbers, accessible solely to those patient enough to observe diligently. Story 37. The gentle evening breeze whispered through the open window, carrying the delicate fragrance of night-blooming flowers into the room. Nestled in my favorite armchair, I found myself entranced by the shadows dancing playfully on the walls, cast by the flickering flame of a solitary candle. Beside me, resting on the small table, lay my beloved old Polaroid camera, a cherished heirloom from my grandmother. Though it had been ages since I last used it, an inexplicable urge tugged at me to reach for it on this particular night. The familiar weight of the camera in my hands brought a sense of solace as I examined it in the dim light. Without conscious thought, My fingers gravitated towards the shutter button, a motion ingrained from countless captures in the past. In a spontaneous decision, I directed the lens towards the shadowed corner of the room and clicked. The flash briefly illuminated the space, followed by the mechanical hum of the photograph slowly developing. As hues and shapes materialized on the blank canvas, a peculiar sight caught my eye. Within the captured frame, nestled in the corner I had focused on, a vague figure materialized. Though its form was hazy, it seemed to hover in the air, akin to a wisp of smoke assuming a human-like silhouette. Instinctively, my gaze darted towards the corner in question, only to find emptiness staring back at me. Intrigued by this enigma, I decided to take another shot in the same direction. This time, the image that emerged bore a distinct alteration. The figure appeared more defined, as if it had inched closer to the lens. Amidst the blur, an outline of a face materialized, its features obscured and indistinct. A subtle chill tingled down my spine, not of fear, but of a profound intrigue. Driven by a silent compulsion, I continued to capture frame after frame, each unveiling the figure drawing nearer, gradually sharpening in clarity. It was as though the entity utilized the photographs as a conduit for its manifestation, each click granting it more presence in our reality. The misty contours began to solidify, hinting at a vintage attire reminiscent of a bygone era. A profound hush descended upon the room, thickening the atmosphere with an unseen but palpable presence. The air grew heavier, the temperature dropping imperceptibly as the candle flame flickered without a breath of wind. Engulfed in a strange communion, I proceeded to snap shots at a slower pace, savoring each moment of this ethereal exchange. In the final photograph of that evening, the figure loomed so close that it almost engulfed the entire frame. A soft smile graced the woman's face, her eyes seeming to pierce through the glossy surface, locking with mine. A haunting familiarity stirred within me, evoking dormant memories from childhood. It was only when I rose to retrieve an old photo album that I noticed a tremor in my hands. Flipping through the aged pages, my quest led me to a portrait of my grandmother in her youth, captured by the very same Polaroid camera. The mirrored smile in the aged photo mirrored the one I had just immortalized in the last snapshot. Carefully arranging the photographs in chronological order on the table, they narrated a wordless tale of a connection bridging two realms, woven through the lens of an ancient camera. I refrained from replicating the experiment, allowing the Polaroid to reclaim its spot on the shelf. Even now, on tranquil evenings suffused with the golden glow of twilight, I find myself drawn to the images. At times, it appears as though the smile in the photograph subtly shifts, as if my grandmother endeavors to convey a message. In those fleeting moments, the boundary separating the realm of reminiscence and reality thins to a veil as delicate as the surface of a freshly developed Polaroid. Story 38. The November breeze danced with the dry leaves on the pathway as I gazed at the outline of the forsaken mansion against the heavy, overcast sky. Known as the house that time forgot, though in reality, it had been home to someone once upon a time, a person lost to memory. Approaching the weathered gate, the cold touch of the wrought iron bars sent shivers down my spine. The air carried a distinct scent of moss and damp stone. The neglected garden was a chaotic mix of brambles and nettles creeping up the weathered walls. Despite its neglect, the mansion exuded a somber elegance. I, a real estate agent, had the task of evaluating the property. The current owner, an elderly gentleman residing overseas, sought to part ways with it. Inherited from a distant relative, he had never set foot inside and now sought to divest himself of the burden. As I traversed the garden, a peculiar sight caught my eye. Amidst the weeds, faint paths seemed freshly trodden, hinting at recent visitors. But who could it be? The neighbors insisted that no one ever ventured onto the premises. With a soft creak, the front door swung open. The interior was cloaked in a bluish twilight filtering through the closed shutters. The air was thick, laden with dust, and the faint aroma of aged wood. Each step creaked as I made my way through the grand salon. Swathed in yellowed sheets, the furniture cast ghostly shapes in the dimness. Enormous veiled mirrors on the walls reflected light in a mysterious manner, playing tricks on the eye. Ascending the stairs, my hand gripped the polished wooden railing worn smooth by time. Along the upper corridor, a row of closed doors awaited my inspection. One by one, I opened them, capturing the empty interiors on camera for appraisal, save for a few shrouded pieces of furniture. It was in the final room that a sense of unease crept in. A feminine bedroom, untouched by time yet disturbed. A thin film of dust coated every surface, but certain objects seemed recently disturbed. On the dresser lay a silver brush, next to it strands of dark, fresh hair, untouched by dust. My pulse quickened as I surveyed the meticulously made bed. The lace bedspread bore a faint indentation, as if someone had sat there moments ago. Just as I prepared to depart, a flicker in the mirror caught my eye. A fleeting image of a woman seated on the bed. Whirling around, the room stood empty, yet an eerie presence lingered. Descending the stairs hastier than I ascended, the salon now bathed in shifting afternoon light, casting deeper shadows. The mirrors appeared to watch me as I made my way to the exit. A soft, almost imperceptible sound reached my ears. A haunting, ancient melody being hummed somewhere upstairs. Was it the wind or my own imagination? Pausing with my hand on the doorknob, I strained to discern the source. Departing and closing the door behind me, the garden now hushed, the wind stilled. Glancing back at the gate, a faint glow caught my eye from an upstairs window, a fleeting movement that vanished in an instant. In the ensuing days, I meticulously crafted my property report, detailing the mansion's condition, required renovations, and potential market value. Omitting the hair on the dresser and the haunting melody, I appended a cryptic note. The property possesses a distinct allure that may captivate a discerning buyer. The house lingered on the market for an extended period. Occasionally, pausing by the rusty gate, I fancied glimpsing a figure flitting between the upstairs rooms as if awaiting a visitor. Or perhaps as though she had never departed. The mystery of the uninhabited house lay not in its lack of occupancy, but in the essence of someone who never truly left. Story 39. The fatigue of a long day's work clung to me as I entered my study. The desk lamp bathed the room in a warm amber glow, casting soft shadows on the book-lined walls. The familiar scent of aged paper and ink enveloped me like a soothing hug as I settled into my worn leather armchair. On the polished wooden desk, my ancient diary lay exactly where I had left it earlier that day. A cherished relic from my grandmother, its weathered brown cover and yellowed pages held my deepest thoughts. As my fingers traced the pages, I noticed a peculiar sight. The last entry was no longer blank. Delicate script, vastly different from my own, adorned the page with words I had no memory of writing. The ink appeared fresh, as though just set down by an unseen hand. Intrigued, I leaned in, my breath slowing to a tranquil rhythm. The writing described an autumn evening in exquisite detail, mirroring the very room in which I sat. The gentle patter of rain against the window added a hypnotic cadence to the scene, blending with the faint rustle of pages turned by an invisible breeze. The lamplight flickered, casting dancing shadows that seemed to have a life of their own. Mesmerized, I continued reading the mysterious prose that seemed to anticipate my every move. Curiosity led him to turn the page. The text beckoned, and as I obeyed, fresh words materialized before me, as if penned by an unseen force. The ink flowed effortlessly, capturing my sensations in real time. The warmth of the light on my skin, the deepening of my breath, even the subtle shiver down my spine. My heart raced as I watched the pages fill with uncanny accuracy. The sentences now detailed the books on the shelves, mentioning titles I couldn't recall owning, yet were indeed present. The narrative unfolded with a mesmerizing rhythm, akin to a silent clock's pendulum marking time in the tranquil room. I shifted to the corner couch, still fixated on the diary that seemed to write itself. The rain's melody intensified, cocooning me in a barrier of sound that secluded me from the outside world. The room exuded a newfound warmth, as if the enigma before me had carved out its own sanctuary, detached from reality. Closing my eyes, I succumbed to the rain's lullaby. Upon opening them, I found the diary transformed. The words took on a more intimate hue, delving into memories long forgotten, moments kept hidden from all. With measured steps, I drew closer to the desk, the silent conversation between book and self deepening. It felt as though the diary sought to connect with me through my own past. The night progressed, each word on the page unraveling a mystery within me. No fear gripped me, only a blend of curiosity and tranquility. Each sentence felt like a step towards a profound revelation I couldn't yet grasp. At midnight's chime, I realized hours had slipped by, lost in this peculiar communion with the diary. The final words appeared cryptic yet profound. Some mysteries need no unraveling to be understood. Gently closing the diary, I felt the familiar leather beneath my fingertips. The rain persisted outside, now a companion rather than a backdrop. Would the words linger come morning, or fade like a dream upon waking? I retired to bed but stole a final glance at the study. The diary lay innocently on the desk, yet a change had transpired within me, not in the tangible world, but in my very being. As night draped the study in silence, the lamp's glow bore witness to a mystery that may elude explanation forever. Closing the door, I pondered that perhaps some enigmas hold more value shrouded in secrecy. Story 40. The hotel's sign shimmered softly, casting a surreal glow through the misty night. The doorman greeted me with a subtle smile, ushering me into the lobby filled with the scent of aged wood and wax. Each step I took was like a dance with nostalgia as I made my way to my simple yet inviting room. Exhausted from my journey, I drifted into a deep slumber almost immediately. The tranquility of the room embraced me, and I surrendered to the sweet embrace of sleep. Morning arrived, and I descended to the reception area, expecting to find the familiar surroundings of the hotel. Instead, all that greeted me was an empty lot. Confusion seized me as I stood there, my travel bag hanging limply from my shoulder, surrounded by overgrown grass swaying gently in the morning breeze. The air was filled with the fragrant essence of dew and wildflowers, a stark contrast to the polished elegance of the hotel that had vanished into thin air. My mind grappled with the disparity between the reality before me and the vivid memories etched in my mind. Every detail of the previous night remained vivid in my memory. The weight of the antique brass key in my palm, the hushed rustle of the deep burgundy carpet underfoot, the intricate dance of pale golden leaves on the wallpaper, all painted a picture of a reality that now seemed elusive. The leather-bound guest register, the fountain pen gliding effortlessly across its cream-colored pages, the approving nod of the doorman, all fragments of a dreamlike experience that felt too real to be a mere figment of imagination. The room itself exuded understated comfort, from the heavy velvet curtains framing the windows to the faint scent of lavender on the bed linens. A single rose in a crystal vase added a touch of elegance to the bedside table. But what lingered most hauntingly was the elusive melody of a piano that had serenaded my dreams. Its notes, delicate and unfamiliar yet strangely comforting, still echoed in the recesses of my mind, a melody I couldn't quite grasp but couldn't forget. Questions swirled in my mind as I grappled with the inexplicable disappearance of the hotel. The brass key, with the number 247 engraved on its head, served as a tangible reminder of a night that defied rational explanation. Local inquiries yielded no traces of the hotel's existence, leaving me adrift in a sea of uncertainty. The key, a silent witness to a fleeting reality, now rested on my bedside table, a beacon of the enigma that had consumed my thoughts. In the quiet of night, I sometimes caught a glimmer of light reflecting off the key, as if it held secrets waiting to be unlocked. The temptation to discard it tugged at me, yet an unseen force stayed my hand, urging me to hold on to the tangible connection to a world that had slipped through my fingers. As I lay in bed, enveloped in the scent of wood polish and aged leather that lingered like a ghostly presence, I found myself yearning for the return of that ephemeral hotel, for the music that whispered of mysteries untold. Perhaps one misty night, the hotel's sign will beckon me once more, the doorman's knowing smile inviting me to step into a realm where reality and illusion intertwine. Until then, I remain tethered to the key, a silent witness to a night of wonders that may never be explained, a night when the hotel existed only in dreams and memories, yet left an indelible mark on my soul. Story 41. In the park, the autumn fog draped like a gentle shroud of gray silk as leaves twirled lazily in the moist evening breeze. Meandering along the pebbled path, I relished the aroma of damp earth and savored the hushed crunch of my steps. Soft halos from the street lamps cast faint glows in the mist, barely lighting the way ahead. And there it was, a dark coat, neatly folded on a weathered wooden bench. The park lay deserted, and the garment appeared meticulously placed, exuding an air of deliberate arrangement. Drawing closer, I watched the woolen fabric soak in the mist's droplets. An exquisite coat it was, with shimmering mother-of-pearl buttons catching the dim evening light. Still warm to the touch, as though just shed by its owner, it sent a shiver down my spine, not of fear, but of intrigue. Delving into the pockets for clues to its owner's identity, all I found was a lone bus ticket from 1985. Time seemed to slow as I pondered this relic from a bygone era, its yellowed yet well-preserved paper hinting at a secret history. Seated beside the coat, my mind drifted as the fog thickened around me. A subtle fragrance of lavender and pipe tobacco lingered in the air, conjuring memories of yesteryears and faded photographs. Examining closely, I uncovered faded initials JM embroidered in golden thread, a nearly forgotten signature. A distant melody broke the park's silence, an old tune, perhaps from a vintage gramophone, echoing like a distant memory. Rising from the bench to trace its origin, the music seemed to swirl from all directions and none at once. When I turned back, the coat had subtly shifted, its fold imperfect, a button catching the light differently. Yet the park remained eerily quiet, with only the passage of time marked by the encroaching fog. Shadows from the street lamps danced on the fallen leaves, while the music faded into a distant hum. Who was JM, and why had they left their coat behind? A professor, a musician, a soul seeking solace in the park's embrace. Lost in contemplation, a gentle touch grazed my shoulder like a whisper of wind. Startled, I spun around, but only the swirling fog met my gaze. The coat appeared aged now, as if time had accelerated solely for it, fading its colors and weathering the fabric. Respecting its enigmatic presence, I left the coat untouched and walked away. A sudden clarity in the music revealed an unfamiliar waltz, hauntingly familiar. The following day, drawn by curiosity, I returned to the park. The bench stood bare, yet a fresh bus ticket, dated that very day, lay on the dew-kissed wood. Even now, on misty evenings passing by that bench, echoes of the distant melody linger, accompanied by whispers of lavender and tobacco. Sometimes, as the streetlights flicker in the mist, a silhouette of a refined gentleman strolling away in the park teases my sight. Yet upon closer inspection, only the dancing shadows of leaves in the evening breeze remain, leaving the mystery of the elegant coat and its elusive owner to linger in the park's timeless embrace. Story 42. The moonlight seeped through the sheer curtains, casting ethereal shadows that danced upon the weathered wooden floor. Nestled in the stillness of the night, I found myself drawn to my cherished armchair, where my eyes lingered upon the ancient mahogany box perched delicately upon the mantelpiece. This box, a relic passed down from my grandmother, had always been a silent sentinel in the room, its glossy surface catching the soft moonbeams and its intricate carvings appearing to shift ever so subtly in the dimness. Never before had I dared to open it, not even during my grandmother's time. It had simply been a fixture, blending into the background like a forgotten painting one glimpses daily but never truly sees. But on this particular night, a peculiar aura enveloped the room. Perhaps it was the play of light on the ornate patterns, or maybe it was the profound hush that enveloped the space. With measured steps, I rose from my seat, the wool of my sweater whispering against the armchair in the reverent silence. Each footfall upon the creaking floor seemed to echo as I drew closer to the enigmatic box. The air grew dense around me, as though a whisper-thin mist swirled imperceptibly in its vicinity. My fingertips grazed the warm mahogany surface, almost pulsing with a hidden vitality. The intricate designs etched into the wood depicted interwoven leaves and branches, so finely detailed that they almost appeared to stir. And then, for the first time, my gaze fixed upon a minuscule detail I had never before noticed, a tiny eye nestled amidst the carvings on the lid. As I scrutinized the box, a faint, age-old aroma wafted forth, a blend of sandalwood with an elusive, enigmatic undertone that tugged at memories buried deep within. I closed my eyes, allowing the scent to unfurl forgotten recollections, a gentle smile, a whispered secret shared as an unseen object was placed within the box. The rustle of the wind outside jolted me back to the present, my hands trembling ever so slightly as they traced the edges of the mysterious container. Though devoid of any visible lock, I knew it had remained unopened, untouched. Or had it? A jumble of childhood memories swirled within me, as if the threads of time had been tangled and rearranged. Seating myself on the couch, I cradled the box in my hands, surprised by its lightness, as though it held naught but air. Yet, a subtle movement stirred within, as if it harbored something intangible, a whisper of a presence rather than a solid entity. The warmth emanating from it intensified, and for a fleeting instant I felt the gaze of the tiny carved eye upon me. A shiver rippled down my spine, not born of fear, but of an uncanny recognition, akin to rediscovering a long-lost acquaintance in a dream. My grandmother's cryptic words resurfaced in my mind, her enigmatic wisdom echoing faintly. Some questions find answers only when we stop seeking them. Sitting in the nocturnal hush, cradling the enigmatic box, a dawning comprehension teased at the edges of my consciousness. The shadows in the room elongated and waltzed upon the walls, mirroring the intricate motifs adorning the box. The scent enveloped me, a hypnotic embrace that beckoned me to ponder the significance of unlocking its mysteries. Reflecting on the generations past who had shared this space, the custodians of the unopened box, I questioned the necessity of unraveling its secrets. Did it truly matter what lay within? Gently, I returned the box to its rightful place upon the mantelpiece, the tiny eye now seeming to smile in silent approval. Retreating to my armchair, a peculiar tranquility settled upon me, a sense of peace intertwined with the mysteries left undisturbed. The moon's gentle glow continued to bathe the room in its silvery light, and the profound stillness of the night now held a deeper, more profound meaning. Surrendering to the lull of the lingering scent, I allowed myself to drift towards slumber. In that liminal realm between wakefulness and dreams, a faint sound seemed to emanate from the mantelpiece, a soft exhale, a sigh of release, or perchance the whimsical play of the nocturnal breeze with the fluttering curtains. The box remained, a silent sentinel guarding its enigmas, a fragment of a riddle that perhaps required no solving. And in that realization, a newfound serenity washed over me, a tranquility hitherto unknown. Story 43. The night had enveloped the house in a shroud of profound hush, broken solely by the soft patter of rain against the window panes. Nestled in my cherished armchair, I observed the shadows waltzing on the walls, in sync with the flickering firelight from the hearth. The warmth embraced me like a snug quilt, while the aroma of burning wood, intertwined with the fragrance of vanilla tea, cradled in my hands. In that moment of utter tranquility, a peculiar sight caught my eye in my niece's playroom, peeking through the slightly open door. An antique porcelain music box, a keepsake from Grandma, seemed to emit a faint bluish radiance. I couldn't recall ever seeing it glow in such a manner before. Slowly, I stood up from the armchair, placing the teacup on the wooden side table. Each step I took on the creaking floor blended with the rain's rhythm, crafting an almost hypnotic melody. Drawing nearer to the door, the glow intensified, yet retained a gentle quality, akin to moonlight shimmering on calm waters. The playroom was a haven of memories and enchantment. Weathered wooden shelves housed Victorian-era porcelain dolls, vibrant toy trains, and plush creatures with gentle countenances. The music box occupied a prominent spot on the central shelf, encircled by tiny crystals my niece had gathered during her garden strolls. The porcelain ballerina atop the music box, typically frozen in her eternal pose, swayed ever so slightly, as though caressed by an unseen breeze. Approaching closer, I noticed the room was distinctly cooler than the rest of the house. My breath materialized in wisps of vapor, while the crystals encircling the music box seemed to react to its glow, casting miniature rainbows on the walls. The ballerina continued her subtle movements, and I could almost discern a faint melody in the distance, a musical whisper from a bygone era. Extending my hand towards the music box, the blue light pulsed gently. The other dolls on the shelf seemed to have turned their heads slightly in my direction, but upon blinking, they reverted to their original positions. The melody grew more distinct. It was Grandma's cherished lullaby, a tune I had believed forgotten. The music box commenced rotating on its own, at a glacial pace. The ballerina pirouetted with an unearthly grace, her motions fluid like those of a living dancer. Meanwhile, the crystals now cast intricate patterns on the ceiling, weaving designs that seemed to narrate tales of yesteryears. The room's atmosphere thickened with memories, as though time itself had condensed around that mystical trinket. I stood transfixed, enthralled by the spectacle unfolding before me. The music from the box intertwined with the rain's cadence, fashioning a symphony evocative of longing and concealed enigmas. The shadows in the room appeared to sway to the music's tempo, and for an instant I sensed a presence beyond myself, witnessing this private exhibition. Slowly the melody began to wane, like a fading dream upon awakening. The blue light of the music box dimmed to a barely perceptible glow, and the ballerina halted her dance, frozen in stillness. Silence descended upon the room once more, but it was a different silence, pregnant with significance and intrigue. Returning to my armchair, I retrieved my now tepid tea. Gazing at the dwindling embers in the fireplace, I pondered Grandma and her affinity for objects steeped in history. I mused on whether she had ever encountered something akin to what I had just experienced. If the music box had always harbored that enchantment, or if it was a special gift reserved for select moments and observers. Since that night, whenever I pass by the playroom, I steal a glance at the music box. Occasionally I catch a fleeting glimpse of a blue radiance, or hear the initial notes of that forgotten lullaby. Yet, perhaps it is merely memories pirouetting in my mind, akin to that porcelain ballerina on that rainy night.